Max, stay low in the trenches, you bastard, or you'll get yourself killed, Lionel shouted as he wiped the sweat from his forehead. He was wearing a worn-out army uniform, a rifle slung over his shoulder and ammunition stuffed into every visible pocket. His fair complexion was smeared with dirt. His black hair was all coated in mud, and his eyes were completely red. Max, his only friend who was alive till now in this godforsaken battlefield, was leaning over the trench, trying to peek and record a badass video for his social media followers. "Chill, dude," Max said, shrugging as he wiped his phone screen with his rough hands. "No one's firing bullets over some stupid-ass generals who revoked the ceasefire just because one of them joked about the other's pecker. Besides, the battle will end soon. He can't get away forever after disobeying his superiors, even if he is an old fart." It was exactly as Max had said. Their general had indeed removed the ceasefire to restart this long, grueling battle after the enemy general mocked him by saying, "You must definitely have a small dick. Arg." That general of ours even disregarded the fucking higher command, saying it doesn't matter. Lionel groaned. "Don't you know?" Max said casually. "People start losing screws when they grow old. He's turning 60 this year." "That's exactly what I am saying," Lionel snapped. "That idiot thinks he will die peacefully if he kills the guy who insulted him. Did that old fuck forget that we are fucking young and the ones dying out here? And the funny part is, he's not even in this battlefield. Motherfucker!" Lionel shouted, his voice cracking with fury as he slammed his fist against the dirt. "Man, what's with you?" Max said. "If anything, I should be the one worrying about dying. My wife's pregnant with our second kid." Lionel froze. "Ah, just thinking about them lifts my mood," Max continued with a soft smile. While Max drifted into his thoughts, Lionel suddenly started sweating. "Wasn't this a fucking red flag?" Max kept on. "You know my wife even." He was abruptly cut off when Lionel grabbed him by the shoulders and started shaking him violently. "You family man. I am single, and on top of that, a freaking virgin. And what were you saying about your wife? Stop giving red flags, you idiot." Lionel stopped mid-sentence. His eyes widened, and his pupils shrank to the size of a needle tip as he noticed that a mortar shell had just landed behind Max. Reacting almost purely on instinct, Lionel shoved Max down and shielded him with his own body just as the mortar exploded. The blast roared through the trench, shaking everything in the vicinity. The shrapnel exploded and directly tore through Lionel's body from multiple directions. When the dust and debris finally settled, Lionel noticed Max was holding him, his face twisted in horror as tears streamed down his cheeks. Max was shouting something, but Lionel couldn't hear a word. Slowly, Lionel raised a trembling hand and touched his chest. The instant his finger touched his chest, it felt as if warm liquid was pouring out and flowing between his fingers. He looked back at Max and tried to speak, but no sound came out of his mouth. Only his thoughts remained. "Ha! Serves you right, bastard. Well, at least you will get to meet your wife again." Then his thoughts stopped. Wife. What a dream come true word. Then automatically, tears began streaming down his face too. Damn it, I didn't even lose my virginity. I swear, if I get another life, the first thing I will do is to find a smoking hot girl, and second, get into a powerful position so I can teach general like people else. Then his vision started blurring. He looked once again at Max's blurring figure, the man who was clutching him and crying his eyes out. Bastard. You really were the only one who made it to the end. Huh. Looks like you won the bet. Somehow, with the last of his strength, Lionel reached into his blood-soaked chest pocket and pulled out a folded note. Then his vision went completely black. Max watched as Lionel's vital signs finally faded and his sobs grew even louder. Lionel had been his last friend who remained alive after everything they had endured together. But when it was finally time for them to leave the army and supposedly finally go home, his only friend died. "No! Liu!" Max screamed at the top of his lungs, clutching his friend's lifeless body. "Why the fuck would you do that? Was it because of my wife? You bastard!" Why? I only brought it up to lighten the mood, you idiot. Max knew Lionel had always cared deeply for him and for the friends they had lost along the way. You even impersonated me while I took your part of the leave, just so I could spend some more time with my wife. And now you even give me your life. Max wiped the tears from his face, but new ones quickly fell again. How am I supposed to live with this burden, you fool? I don't even know where your family lives. Max's gaze finally fell on the blood-stained note Lionel had pulled out of his pocket before dying, and he slowly reached for it. As he read the words written inside, he couldn't hold himself any longer. His voice broke into a raw cry. Several soldiers rushed over and quickly covered his mouth, trying to quiet him, but none of them scolded him. Losing a dear friend was something most of them understood all too well. So, they simply let him cry as they carried Lionel's body away to a safe place. Well, that was the last thing Lionel actually remembered. But now he stood in a narrow alleyway, wearing a bloodied tunic. What the fuck? Leo stood up straight and took a proper look at himself and his surroundings. He wore simple trousers and a tunic, along with a pair of worn shoes. The clothes were roughly tailored but still looked decent, if not for the blood splattered all over them. He could feel that his body was aching, but not so much that he would require immediate medical attention. This much pain was bearable for his soldier-trained mind. What bothered him more were the surroundings. The houses were built from stone bricks and wood, and even the ground beneath his feet was paved with stone bricks instead of tar, cement, or those modern block tiles. He was still trying to make sense of everything around him when a sudden headache assaulted his mind. Arg! He clutched his head. It feels like someone's knocking from inside of my head. What is this? He stared blankly ahead, speaking as he looked at nothing. Is this what people call transmigration? And I have already died once? No, wait. If I count this one, that makes two. He muttered to himself as fragments of memories began to surface. Leo glanced around once more before looking down at his poorly tailored clothing again. To be honest, they don't seem that bad anymore. If the things I suddenly happen to recall out of nowhere are actually true. So, this world was overrun by magical beasts about 500 years ago. As Lionel was going through the memories flooding his mind, he learned that the original owner of this body was named Leo. Just Leo. No surname. Commoners in this world weren't allowed to have one. However, if someone awakened the talent of beast taming, they could rise in status and attain nobility. Even the weakest beast master would be granted the title of knight. Only then would they be allowed to adopt a surname from the beast hall, usually after he accomplishes a notable or praiseworthy deed. The world itself was called Scadrial, at least by the humans inhabiting it. And the strongest human alive was Emperor Louis von Arvonen. But the world hadn't always been like this. During the apocalypse centuries ago, new races had appeared, especially the elves and demons. The two races quickly declared themselves superior to humans, as they were the first to awaken the beast taming talents and start fighting back against the magical beasts that had overrun the world back then. Humans, however, weren't so far behind. Thanks to their quick adaptability, they too caught up to the other races and began awakening their own talents and joining the fight against the beasts. Thus began the Dark Age of Apocalypse, an era where the population of every race plummeted drastically. Billions died. Cities, kingdoms, and even entire empires collapsed. The chaos continued for centuries until eventually only three great empires remained. The Demon Empire Dusker, the Elven Empire Eloria, and finally the Human Empire Velarath. But even with all this, the three empires combined had only conquered about 30% of the world's total landmass, while the rest remained a wild territory, dominated by deadly and monstrous beasts that roamed around them, making the ruling authorities greedy after these habitable and resource-filled territories. However, this greed also created conflicts with other races. Whenever two factions claimed the same territory, conflict became inevitable, and hostility between the races only grew deeper. The human emperor eventually passed a strict law in which members of other races were forbidden to roam freely in Velarath. The only exception through which they could be allowed was by being a slave, putting them at an even lower position than commoners. But that didn't mean common people lived a good life. In this world, strength defined status and authority, since beast masters were an extremely rare and valuable resource. They were the ones who helped in the expansion of Empire's borders and defended them against magical beasts. Yet every year, out of all the applicants who attempted awakening, barely 1 to 2% succeeded in awakening a talent. Because of their scarcity, the Empire showered beast masters with privileges. They were provided with absolute authority. A beast master could literally kill a commoner simply because they were in a bad mood, and authorities would not take any actions. Instead, they would twist the narrative and only frame the victim in a bad light. But that didn't mean that hierarchy didn't exist among beast masters themselves. There were 9 ranks, from 1 star to 9-star beast masters, and each star was further divided into 4 minor levels: low, intermediate, advanced, and peak. Starting from 5-star rank onward, beast tamers were given special titles: 5-star commander, 6-star general, 7-star king, 8-star emperor, 9-star monarch. Emperor Louis himself was an advanced 8-star beast master. However, throughout the recorded history since the beginning of the Dark Age, no one had ever achieved 9 stars. Some even believed such a rank didn't exist at all, dismissing it as nothing more than a myth. The same ranking system goes for the beasts too. They are also divided into star ranks, and beast masters could only tame beasts that were of equal rank to themselves. But there is one exception: 10-star beasts, more commonly known as god beasts. According to a legend that goes around, the reason the apocalypse started was because 2 god beasts fought each other to the death. And in their battle, their homeland, a world originally said to be unimaginably vast, supposedly even larger than Jupiter, which Leo interpreted, was destroyed and completely disintegrated. It was a world filled with countless species of beasts across its enormous lands. And when that world disintegrated, fragments of its land scattered across space and began merging with other planets, including Scadrial, triggering a beast apocalypse on them as well. And the integration still hadn't stopped. That was the reason why the emperors of the 3 great empires did everything they could to keep beast masters on their side. The dangers of beasts had never subsided, and if they didn't take an aggressive approach, another apocalyptic-like catastrophe could occur again. After all, in the natural order of this world, the beasts still occupied the top of the food chain. The 3 racial nations might call themselves empires, but in truth their territories were crude and unstable. Cities were built only after powerful beasts in the area had been slain. And once the dangers were cleared, walls were erected around them, and people would begin to settle inside. How do they come to those cities? Travel between cities was only made possible thanks to spatial beasts, creatures that possessed the teleportation powers. And because of this, strange situations often occurred. A city belonging to the Elven Empire might exist deep inside a territory dominated by humans or demons. If discovered, the city would be attacked from every direction, and its inhabitants would inevitably end up as slaves. And despite the miserable living conditions inside these cities, poor hygiene, almost no maintenance, and absolutely no human rights, people still chose to live there. Even when ordinary citizens and slaves were treated like livestock, no one dared to leave. Yes, dared. Because outside such towns and cities, magical beasts roamed freely. Only capable beast tamers could travel freely with the help of their spatial beasts, and such tamers strictly followed the imperial command. Once they dropped someone off at a city, the rest depended entirely on your luck. Whether you found a decent overseer, or a tyrant of that place. But that rarely happened, as good people had nearly become extinct when beast masters rose to power. Nowadays, the definition of a good person has become absurdly low. If you saw someone being murdered in front of you simply because their face wasn't up to standard of someone, and all you did was sigh and mutter, "Damn, what a poor soul," then congratulations. You were considered a good person. Leo was going through all of these memories while sitting in a lotus position. One hand rested on his knees while the other supported his head as he stared at the cracked stone wall before him. After a long moment, he muttered quietly, "Damn. Looks like people here are made using the general from my previous life as a base, then evolved into worse variants. Even though his tone sounded light, his expression was completely serious. This is a problem. A huge problem. I need to get stronger. Yes. That's the only way I can live my life the way I want. Leo clenched his fists, his gaze hardening. It was true in my previous life too. And it's even more true in this world. He made a silent vow to become the strongest, at least enough that no one would ever be able to boss him around. And I was also killed just because. His thoughts came to a sudden stop as Leo suddenly realized something. Wait, Leo froze. I have a family member? No, wait, more like a cousin? Or not quite really. He frowned, trying to piece together the memories. Damn it, I was an orphan in my previous life. And I still am in this one too. But, unlike before, someone took me in. Memories surfaced more clearly now. A friend of my father adopted me, my uncle and aunt. His chest suddenly tightened. I can feel it. The previous owner of this body deeply cared about them. Then his breath grew heavier. And they were fucking killed. A surge of rage erupted within him. Raw, intense, and personal. It was as if these intense emotions were his own and not the body's previous owners. Leo took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down and think carefully. Think. Calm down. Understand everything first. Piece by piece, the truth started adding up. Leo's uncle and aunt were killed just because the lord of this town, Baron Zirek Milty, wanted to take his aunt as his concubine. When his aunt vehemently refused, he sent his men to drag her away. But Leo's uncle had been there when this happened. He fought back, and he got himself killed for it. His aunt, she resisted too, trying to fight, and she died as well. Now only one person remained whom he could call his family, his so-called cousin, Lily. Thinking about her, Leo's expression darkened. That darn Baron's son, Zoltan Milty. Now he wants her. His fists tightened. But as he recalled, Lily had always slipped past him since she worked in a restaurant owned by a retired intermediate 2-star beastmaster. A rare good man. Someone who actually protected the people working under him. And since he was a 2-star, he was almost on the same power level as the Baron, who was an advanced 2-star beastmaster. The reason why such a powerful person retired and ran a restaurant was because the majority of his beasts died and only one remained alive. There was also the fact that his wife cooks well. But despite having just one beast, he was a strong enough threat for the Baron. Knowing that well, the Baron wouldn't risk having a direct conflict, especially not over something as trivial as his unawakened son's obsession over a commoner girl. So, Zoltan played his cards to make Lily helpless by removing the only support that remained for her, by killing Leo. Fuck you, Baron, and your entire bloodline. Shit. In both worlds, I died just because of freaking dicks. Leo gritted his teeth in anger but didn't let it consume him. Instead, his resolve to get stronger only increased. By now, night had already fallen. Without realizing it, Leo had already started walking his way back home, his mind racing as he planned his next move. So, tomorrow is my awakening trial. His hand instinctively moved to his pocket. Those fuckers even took my money. Then, a sigh escaped his lips, followed by a small, grim smile. Thank God I left the trial hall pass at home. That freaking pass alone had cost 50 bronze coins. And then they say they need beast masters? Which commoner could ever be able to save that much and afford it? His expression turned mocking. Damn. If not for Lily, I would have never managed to get the pass. I need to awaken, he whispered, his fists clenched. No matter what, that's the only way forward. In truth, Leo's thoughts weren't wrong. The high cost of the pass wasn't accidental. It was all the nobles' ploy. Since they were already in a good position, they had no desire for more competition among them. Why would they allow new beast masters to rise and threaten their status and authority? And with the discovery of mana extending lifespans, their ambitions to rule would remain unhindered for a long time. It was said that the emperor himself had lived for more than 200 years and still appeared young. Of course, there was one reasonable justification. If the trial were to be free, the entire town would want to try their luck every year, even those who had already failed. Nonetheless, the price was still ridiculously high. The currency system was simple. 100 copper coins equaled 1 bronze coin. 100 bronze coins equaled 1 silver coin. 100 silver coins equaled 1 gold coin. 100 gold coins equaled 1 platinum coin. At first glance, 50 bronze coins may not seem like much. But in reality, that amount of money could feed a family of 5 for nearly a month. Lily earned only 20 bronze coins a month while working at the restaurant, and while Leo did some odd jobs here and there, he could only make around 5 bronze coins a month. And that was before expenses like clothes, daily necessities, and everything else. They had barely managed to scrape together those 50 bronze over the course of a whole year so that Leo could participate in the awakening ceremony. All that for one chance. Lily was 2 years older than Leo, 24 while he was 22, which naturally made her take on the role of an elder sister, something she naturally assumed was her responsibility. After her parents died 5 years ago, she had forced herself to appear strong, just so Leo wouldn't have to worry. She too had tried to awaken as well, but even though her soul rank had been assessed as rare, she failed to awaken the taming talent. Soul rank. This was the measure of a person's soul strength. It determined how many beasts a beast master could contract and how many of their abilities he could share. There were 10 soul ranks, from weakest to strongest. Common, uncommon, rare, super rare, epic, legendary, mythical, transcendent, divine, and eternal. The maximum number of beasts one could tame was decided by a simple formula. 2x plus 5, with x representing the rank value. For example, common had a value of x equals 1. 1. Common 7. 2. Uncommon 9. 3. Rare 11. 4. Super rare 13. 5. Epic 15. 6. Legendary 17. 7. Mythical 19. 8. Transcendent 21. 9. Divine 23. 10. Eternal 25. But there is another perk to soul rank. It didn't just affect the number of beasts they could contract. Instead, it also determined how many abilities one could use from each contracted beast. A common rank could use only one shared ability, while each higher rank added one more. Common 1, uncommon 2, rare 3, legendary 6, mythical 7, eternal 10. In other words, your soul rank directly reflected your potential. The higher your soul rank, the easier it was to grow stronger. So basically, even without summoning their beasts, those with high soul ranks could be stronger by themselves since they could rely on those shared abilities. In contrast, common rank souls often relied entirely on their beasts to fight for them. For instance, if a rare soul rank beast master had reached the maximum limit of beasts he is allowed to tame, which is 11 contracts, he can theoretically have an arsenal of 33 abilities. Of course, reality was way harsher. Taming the potentially maximum number of beasts was rarely seen, and it became even more difficult at higher ranks. Most common and uncommon rank souls only managed to tame just 1 or 2 beasts. Even the Emperor, rumored to possess a legendary rank soul, had only contracted 10 beasts. And it was the same with abilities. Some common rank souls couldn't even handle a single shared ability before their souls collapsed. Shit, I am pathetic in this life. Leo cursed himself under his breath. A man's greatest ability is to make money, and I even failed to do that here. For some reason, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was in the wrong here. Ha! I still can't believe the body's previous owner died from injuries like these. He exhaled slowly. This barely tickles me. I have endured worse during my military training. Soreness? Cramps? All that pain? Leo paused when he caught his reflection in a puddle, illuminated by a nearby street lamp. After a brief glance, he continued walking. Well, at least I looked the same. And the previous owner seemed to speak the same way as I did. Phew. That's good. At least I won't have to pretend in front of people that I... Leo! A sweet, melodic voice called out to him, snapping him out of his thoughts. Somehow, he had reached home before even realizing it. It was Lily. Leo raised his head. A beautiful girl with light pink hair and matching irises rushed toward him. She wore a long-sleeved dress that flowed down to her ankles. Relief flashed across her eyes as she made her way to him, until she noticed his condition. The bruises on his face, the bloodied tunic. Her expression instantly shifted to worry. Leo blinked, realizing that he had been staring a little too long at her, and quickly snapped out of it. "Leo, what happened? Why are you so injured?" The concern in her voice was genuine, and Leo could feel it. He couldn't help but regret not cleaning off his wounds before coming here. He opened his mouth to speak, but the words stumbled out awkwardly. It's nothing. What the fuck am I even saying? Did all those grueling years in the military being single finally mess up my ability to even speak? Taking a steady breath, he began explaining the story he had prepared beforehand. He told her that he had been mugged and that while fighting back, he was slightly injured, nothing to worry about. "Sorry, I lost my money." He scratched the back of his neck, dropping his gaze. Lily gently took his hand and said, "Why are you worrying about money? You should have worried about yourself first, you idiot. Don't you know people actually get killed during robberies? What would I do if something happened to you? You are my only." Lily's words were abruptly cut off when Leo gently placed his other hand over her head. "Shit, what am I doing? She looked kinda cute worrying about me, and I just put my hand over her head. Should I just pat her?" So he did. "Don't worry, Lily. I am fine now, aren't I?" Lily just puffed her cheeks and quickly swatted his hand away. "Don't treat me like a kid. I am older than you." She turned and walked inside, though she couldn't hide the faint blush on her cheeks. "Come in. I will clean your wounds and prepare dinner." Leo glanced at their so-called house. It was a small single-story building with 2 rooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom connected by a hall. One room had already collapsed, and the rest looked dilapidated, almost haunted, at least by the standard of his previous world. Still, here, such houses were fairly common. Rather, having a house itself was considered a luxury. Well, better than sleeping in trenches, I guess. He then followed her inside. The wooden floor creaked under his steps. There were a few basic pieces of furniture, tables, chairs, and a small dining table, and an unlit fireplace. 4 doorways were visible, though one was blocked by the debris from the collapsed room. One led to Lily's room, another to the kitchen, and the third to the bathroom. Leo's bed was set up in the hall. Looks like this is how we're living right now. Well, at least there are no bills to pay. From the bathroom, he could hear Lily preparing water. "Leo, everything's ready. Come here. I will clean your wounds." "What? She's going to wash them?" Lily, I can do it myself. You don't need to worry." He stopped mid-sentence when he reached the doorway of the washroom and saw her dipping a piece of cloth into a bowl of water. "What are you talking about?" she said firmly. "I am pretty sure you are even having trouble walking straight with those injuries. Stop acting tough and let your big sister handle it." Her fierce tone left no room for argument. Leo sighed and obediently sat down. Lily carefully cleaned his wounds, her movements gentle, as if afraid of hurting him. When she removed his shirt, what surprised him wasn't the fact that a girl was seeing him half-naked. Instead, he was baffled to see his own body. It looked weak. Even though he could pass as a lean man and wasn't just skin and bones, compared to the rugged, muscular physique he had built in the military, this body felt frail. No wonder the previous owner died. "Leo, does it hurt? It looks bad. See, you are even bleeding in your shoulder. And here too." Lily asked, her voice full of worry. "Trust me, Lily. I am fine. And it doesn't hurt much when you're cleaning them. I can handle it." He gave her a reassuring smile, and it seemed to have eased her concern. After Lily finished cleaning all his wounds, Leo stubbornly sent her out so he could take a bath. Once he was done, Lily applied some homemade remedies to his wound. Since legit medicine and healers were far too expensive for them, this was all they could do. After wrapping some makeshift bandage over his body, Lily warmed up the food that she had brought home from the restaurant's leftovers. Today was one of the lucky days when there was enough food for her to bring Lily some. "Leo, you should sleep on my bed tonight," Lily suddenly said after washing the dishes. "It's softer than yours, and you will have a better rest there." "Huh? What? No, I am fine here. See? There is even the fireplace. It will keep me warm." Though he said that, he internally debated. Fuck. No way I am going to sleep on a cute girl's bed on my very first day in this world. Damn. Hell. I have never even lived under the same roof as a girl in my entire life before. Hearing Leo's words, Lily's face dropped instantly, and he could tell something was wrong. Huh? What's... Leo, I am sorry, but I used the last of our firewood to heat the water for your wounds and to warm the food. Shit. I don't like where this is going. Then, as if a sudden idea had struck her, Lily spoke again. "Come and sleep on my bed first. I have an idea to keep you warm." Before he could react, she grabbed his arm and practically pulled him into her room and made him lie down. Leo, having no defensive arguments left to resist, could only go along with it. "So, what's the plan to keep me warm?" Suddenly, he yelped. Before he could even finish his sentence, Lily climbed onto the bed and slipped under the blanket, pressing herself close against him. "What are you shouting for? We used to sleep like this all the time when we were kids. And don't your injuries need warmth to heal faster? I will sleep with you so you don't feel cold. You even have your trial tomorrow, so you need a proper rest and to be in good shape," Lily said and shifted even closer. Meanwhile, Leo was having a breakdown. Fuck. How am I supposed to have a proper rest like this? Does this girl not want me to sleep the entire night? What's this soft sensation over my shoulder? No, wait. These things are actually this soft. What the hell am I even thinking? Lily, that was when we were kids. Now we're grown-ups. And your body. His eyes drifted to the two soft, heavenly mounds that were dangerously close to his face, and he stopped mid-sentence. Lily noticed exactly where his gaze landed and stiffened. Shut up, you idiot, and just sleep. I don't mind sleeping with you." That sounded very wrong, Leo thought. In her fluster, she suddenly pulled Leo's face closer to her chest, practically burying it against her mounds. Her face flushed red at the sudden sensation, but she quickly forced herself to calm down. "Just sleep like this. It will keep you warm," she muttered and closed her eyes. Leo, with his face buried, lost all ability to reason and strangely felt very calm. "Well, there's nothing I can do now, and honestly, this really feels nice. I wonder if this was the reason that Max kept blabbering about his wife all the time?" His gaze lifted up slightly, and he saw Lily already drifting to her sleep, her face completely peaceful. "She sure is very precious." His eyes, however, drifted again and landed on the pillows that were practically touching his cheeks. Fuck it. If this is the way, then I will take everything I can. He stirred a bit and then slid one arm behind her waist from below, then pulled her closer. Lily let out a small yelp at the sudden locked position she found herself in, but soon relaxed since it felt more comfortable. While Leo thought there was no way he would be able to sleep properly that night, he suddenly felt a strange sense of calm wash over him, and with his body and mind exhausted, he eventually drifted off to sleep. The next day, the morning light illuminated the entire room Leo and Lily had been sleeping in. Leo sat up straight and looked around. Lily had woken up long ago, leaving him alone on the bed. She probably went to the restaurant. It opens early. While looking around, he found a leather pouch beside him. Inside it were 3 bronze coins. Looks like she left them here for me. But 3 bronze coins? That's basically all her savings. Leo smiled faintly and picked up the pouch. On the table was a simple meal of bread and soup. He ate quietly, then grabbed the trial pass from the shelf. Clenching his fist, he muttered to himself, "This is the only way. For me, for Lily. I have to become strong." His eyes gleamed with determination. He stepped out of the house and made his way toward the trial grounds. Along the way, he spotted a man heading in the same direction. It was obvious that he was going to the trail as well, since he held the pass openly as if he wanted others to see it. Leo, however, was more cautious. He slowed his pace and made sure to look like he was just strolling. He occasionally stopped near a few shops, pretending to check something out, making it look like he had nothing to do with the trial. He knew very well that people were always eager to snatch an opportunity, especially when it came at someone else's expense. And sure enough, he later spotted the same man being beaten in an alleyway for his trial pass. Many preferred stealing their way into the trial instead of buying it by themselves. Eventually, Leo arrived at a massive door engraved with intricate designs. Without hesitation, he got his pass checked, and after registering his entry, stepped inside. After walking through a long, open stretch for a while, he found himself among nearly 1,000 people, and every one of them had gathered for the awakening trial. Even though Kendrew wasn't particularly a large city, more than 1,000 people had managed to afford an entry into this once-a-year opportunity. He could see guards stationed all around, each accompanied by vigilant beasts, and at the center of the crowd were 2 empty spaces. Leo recognized them immediately since he had already heard of them. One held a crystal that determined a person's soul rank, while the other contained an array used to awaken the beast-taming talent, if one possessed it. The minimum soul rank required was common, which was indicated by a white glow when a person placed their hand over the soul rank crystal. If anyone failed to even have a common rank soul, which was the case for most of the population, there was no point in checking whether they possessed the talent of beast taming, because even if someone had it, attempting to contract a beast with a weak soul would lead to an instant death. So this is it. There is where my fate will be decided, Leo muttered, his expression grim as he started anticipating what might happen to him and Lily if he failed to awaken a talent. No, I will awaken the beast-taming talent. I have to. Suddenly, a heavy pressure settled over the area, as if something massive loomed above. Then, a powerful gust of wind followed, blowing dust in every direction. Leo and others instinctively looked up and froze. A griffin hovered overhead. Not just any griffin, but a massive one. Leo's mouth slung open in disbelief. These creatures really exist. Damn, how big is that? Looks like it's as long as a bus. And those wings, they can easily crush me into a paste in seconds. I already knew it from the memories, but seeing it with my own eyes feels unreal. People instinctively stepped back, clearing space for the beast as it descended, landing just beside the empty area at the center. Then, a man dismounted from its back. Everyone recognized him, even Leo did. Urquhart, a commander-rank beastmaster, and his griffin itself was of the same rank. Urk was a broad, robust man, dressed in brown and black clothes. His chest was partially exposed, revealing a bold, cross-shaped scar he wore with pride. It was a mark of his bravery on the battlefield, something he was very proud of. Urk placed his hand over the griffin's lowered beak. "You did well, Griffith. Rest now." At his words, the griffin dissolved into green motes of light, which streamed directly into his chest. He then stepped forward and announced, his voice booming, even louder than any modern speaker. "You already know what you are here for. I won't repeat myself, so listen carefully." He paused and waited for a while before continuing. "There are 2 areas in which you will be checked to see if you have what it takes to be a beastmaster. First, your soul rank. The higher it is, the more powerful you can become, and the easier it will be for you to grow. If you have no soul rank, then don't waste time here and leave right away." His tone sharpened. "Second, your beast-taming talent. There have been cases where people were found to have high-ranked souls but no talent for beast-taming. So don't start dancing only because of your soul. I have little patience for fools. Mind you, by the end," his voice carried a clear threat, and several people visibly gulped in nervousness. Beside Leo, an irritated voice clicked its tongue. It was a man who looked more like a fox than a human and had horizontal slit-type eyelids. "TSK, just you wait, bastard. When I awaken my talent, you will be groveling at my feet." Leo turned, and his expression stiffened as he recognized the man. Zoltan Milty. Shit, Zoltan. What is he doing here? Didn't he already get himself tested last year? Without hesitation, Leo quickly and quietly got as far away from the man as he could. He wasn't in a condition to afford being seen by Zoltan right now. The guy believed he was dead, so why ruin the surprise? At last, the trials began and the first person was called. Terran. A middle-aged man stepped forward and confidently placed his hand over the crystal. Nothing happened. No soul rank. Move aside. Next, Doran. Terran walked away as if his whole life was destroyed, and a young man stepped forward. He placed his hand over the crystal, and this time there was a reaction. A dull gray light spread through it. Uncommon soul rank. Pass. Next. Just like that, they kept calling names one after another until... Zoltan Milty. What? This man again? The announcer calling the name muttered quietly under his breath, but Rourke heard him clearly with his sharp senses. Again, you say? Oh, looks like there's a rich fool who thinks he can awaken talent if he keeps trying. Well, I won't say anything. There have indeed been some cases where people did awaken, 1 in 100,000 if I say so. He gestured forward. Place your hand over the crystal. Zoltan did so, and as usual, like his previous attempts, the crystal lit up with the same color, albeit the rarely seen one, blue. Super rare soul rank, pass, TSK. Every year the same super rare bum. Next. The announcer muttered in a low, irritated voice by the end. Zoltan heard the words. His jaw tightened in anger, but he said nothing. In front of Rourke, he was nothing. The guy could simply swat him like a fly. He silently joined the group of those who had passed the first test. Finally, the time arrived. Leo. Leo stepped forward and placed his hand over the crystal. For a moment, nothing happened. A flicker of dread crept into his chest. Then, the crystal glowed. Leo, who, even though he had a calm look on his face, had actually been on his toes until the crystal glowed. But, soul rank common. Pass. Next. It was white in color. The lowest soul rank. It's fine, it's fine. At least there is something. That's better than nothing. Yes. Now, I just have to wait for the next part. From the side, Zoltan narrowed his eyes. Leo? That girl's brother. He is still alive? TSK. Did those bastards lie to me? Looks like someone is seeking death. But what if he awakens? Nah, even if he awakens, it won't matter. A common rank is nothing. I have a feeling that this time, I will definitely awaken. Soon, everyone's soul rank testing was done. And out of everyone present, barely 40 had passed. Leo, who had been quietly lamenting his pitiful soul rank, slowly came to a realization. Even that common was a blessing. Names continued to be called out one after another again. Whenever someone awakened her talent, it was marked by a beast mark sigil flaring into existence. That much was certain. But what was surprising was that the young man named Doran, who had an uncommon soul rank and was starting to get full of himself, failed to awaken the beast taming talent. He literally broke down on the spot and began crying right there. That was until Rourke shot him a glare, and that was enough. Doran quickly stood up and walked away. No matter how devastating the blow had been, his life was still more important. Soon, Leo was called, this time before Zoltan. Leo stepped forward towards the array formation, a decagon etched with some unknown language and symbols all over it. He stepped into its center, his heart beating wildly in his chest. Please, please, cannot stay weak. I don't want to live that pathetic life again. Please awaken. Awaken. Rourke activated the array. One by one, all 10 corners of the decagon lit up. The strange inscriptions lifted into the air and began swirling around like holographic projections before shooting straight into Leo's head. Leo's eyes remained shut, trembling. His hands shook as he silently prayed to every god of earth he had known to let his talent awaken. I want to be the strongest. I don't want to be beneath anyone's mercy. Just then, Leo heard a chime. Ding! Rourke was about to declare that Leo had failed when, Suddenly, a sigil flickered into existence, only for a brief instant before disappearing. Even though he couldn't get a good view of it, Rourke was sure that Leo had awakened. Pass. Leo has successfully become a beast master. Go, stand along with the others, and wait for further instructions. Leo followed what Rourke said and moved aside. More names were called, but Leo's attention had already drifted elsewhere, onto a translucent, holographic screen floating before him. God Beast Sanger is fascinated by your desire to grow stronger. He has given you a gift, expecting great things from you thanks to your potential. Primordial Beast Dominion System. Leo was so absorbed in his thoughts that he didn't even notice Zoltan awakening his beast-taming talent. Zoltan really did awaken, the rare 1 in 100,000 success. While Zoltan was busy getting full of himself, Leo focused entirely on what he had received and went through it. System Interface. Leo Lionel Draven, Leo. Level 0, 0 out of 10. Soul Strength, Common, Mythical. Talent, Bestiary of Souls, Primordial Beast Taming. Bestiary of Souls. Effect 1. Allows you to collect the beast essence from the core of slain beasts, rendering the core useless. The stored essence can later be used to enhance a similar type of tamed beasts or beast core's bloodline and strength. Each essence contains a random skill from the slain beast, which can be absorbed by the recipient beast. Effect 2. Allows the collection of soul essence from beasts that have gained intelligence, and use it to strengthen the soul of the talent holder. There is an extremely rare chance to gain a talent from the absorbed soul. Primordial Beast Taming. Due to the user's soul not being native to this world, a suitable talent has been bestowed upon you. Effect. The bond formed due to this talent is Primordial Bond. Even if the beast and tamer are not fully bonded, it allows the tamer to share senses and strength with their tamed beasts. As the bond level increases, the tamer can share more strength with their bonded beast, and even communication with them will become possible. Stats. Vitality, 1. Strength, 1. Stamina, 1. Agility, 1. Intelligence, 1. Magic power, 80. Soul rank number, 1 plus 7. Times intelligence times 10. Unallocated stat points, 0. What the hell? A fucking system. Let's go. But who is Beast God Sanger? A god? Yes, he must be a god. He saved my fucking life. Thank you. He studied the system interface carefully. So, it looks like my original information are between the asterisk signs, which means I have a mythical soul, and the world can only detect the original owner's soul. So that's why the test result came as common soul rank. His thoughts raced. And wait, it looks like it was my soul that awakened the taming skill. Wait, doesn't it mean that I was the one who awakened a talent? Just because it wasn't a taming type, it would have gone unnoticed since only taming talents produce a visible reaction to eyes. A chill ran down his spine. That was dangerous. I might have just ended up crying in a corner after someone beat the shit out of me, just because I was a commoner. He exhaled slowly. Phew, lucky me. Then his eyes lit up again as he reread the abilities. And what does it say? I can share the strength of my tamed beast, and on top of that, I can enhance their strength using the essence of other beasts with the other talent. Isn't that overpowered like hell? A grin spread across his face. Leo wasn't wrong to think that way. Normally, a beast master trains their body to grow stronger and, at best, can borrow the beast's magical skills and not its raw strength. And that only changes if they possess some special talents that allow them to share strength, or if they could fuse with their beast using a fusion skill. A skill that only appears when their bond with the beast evolves to the level of the soul. There are 4 levels of bond, and everyone begins at the lowest level with their newly contracted beasts. Chain bond lowest. A forced subjugation. The beast obeys out of fear and the contract's restrictions. It remains stable with low beasts, but as they grow stronger, rebellion becomes more likely if the bond doesn't improve. Growth is limited, and overcoming bottlenecks becomes difficult. Blood bond, intermediate, forms when the beast fully trusts its master and uses the tamer's blood to imprint a mark on its soul. This creates a shared vitality between tamer and beast. This bond is far more stable and allows smoother growth through bottlenecks. The beast will willingly lay down its life for its tamer. However, if the beast dies, the tamer suffers a backlash. Soul bond high. Deeper resonance where both the beast and the tamer share fragments of their soul. It naturally evolves from a blood bond as their connection strengthens. This level of bond offers the highest stability and immense growth potential. It also unlocks fusion skills, unique abilities born from synergy. Ascendant bond, extremely rare, achieved only when beast and tamer reach absolute harmony. It can break bloodline limits and even create entirely new evolutionary paths. Both tamer and beast influence each other's growth, allowing even a common soul rank tamer to rise far beyond expectations. Leo was having a hard time controlling his expression as he thought about the endless possibilities in the future. Doesn't this mean that, from the moment I tame my first beast, I will already be stronger? Wait, let's take a step back. Why did I receive this system? It just said the beast god was fascinated by my desire to grow stronger. And my potential. That's it? I don't have to do any noble deed, do I? Like to save the world nonsense? At most, the most noble deed I could do is take Lily with me on some remote mountain and live on to peacefully and quietly grow stronger. That alone might save the world from a crazy maniac. No response, huh? Well, don't complain later when I ignore the sorry souls just to save my hide. And what is this system? What can it do and what are its limits? Still no response. Not a user-friendly thing. Before Leo could think anymore, Rourke's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. Alright, this year's awakening trial is over. Those who have failed, promptly leave before someone drags you out. And those who have passed, follow me to the Beast Hall. You will get yourself registered there and contract your first beast of choice, which is secured by the hall for you. Leo blinked, finally coming out of his thoughts and taking in his surroundings. Out of roughly 40 people who had passed the soul rank test, nearly 30 have awakened, while the rest were already walking away. That was when he spotted Zoltan among the successfully awakened ones present. This is bad, Leo muttered under his breath. Now he might come to take away Lily by himself. I need to grow strong quickly. Rourke led them into a grand building made of polished wood and stone, its intricate designs radiating quiet wealth. Well, that definitely looks expensive. Inside, everyone registered their details and received a copper badge, proof of their noble status, albeit the lowest rank, a knight. An interesting fact caught his attention as Leo observed. Even Zoltan, despite having a surname thanks to his father, wasn't officially registered as a noble yet. He, too, received a copper badge like everyone else, signifying his noble status. Once everyone was registered, another man led them to an open area lined with several cages in order. Looks like Rourke got way too bored of us halfway through. Then the man stopped and addressed them. Everyone listen carefully. The beasts here were captured by experienced beast masters. You have until evening to choose which beast to contract. It's possible that none of the beasts here might be to your liking. His gaze lingered meaningfully on Zoltan. So, you're free to go and try your luck in the wild. No one will stop you. But for those without such privileges, my suggestion is to choose their first beast here. Train them, grow a bit stronger, then hunt in the wild to grow even more stronger to help His Majesty the Emperor rule over more land. He paused before adding, remember, humanity's survival now rests in your hands. Everyone nodded, and the man finally gave way for people to choose the beast of their liking. You may only choose one beast, he said firmly. So choose carefully. With that, he stepped back. Leo took a step forward, then stopped briefly, careful not to arouse anyone's suspicion, because something had just changed. Above every beast's head, he was able to see their bloodline rank and personality. Bloodline ranks. They gave a rough idea of how far a beast could grow in terms of strength. Ordinary bloodline. A beast's strength would cap at a maximum of 2 stars. Mortal bloodline. Most beasts with such a bloodline reached a strength ceiling at a maximum of 3 stars, with rare cases touching 4 stars. Super bloodline. These beasts could grow up to 5 stars, and in extremely rare cases even 6 stars. Noble bloodline. These were beasts capable of reaching a maximum of 7 stars. Royal bloodline. 7 stars was an easy achievement for them, but some possessed the capability to reach 8 stars or rival the ones with 8 stars in terms of strength. And finally, the strongest of all bloodlines, divine bloodline. These beasts were expected to have at least 9 stars. Legends even claimed they could ascend into god beasts if given enough time. But no one truly knew if that was possible, because no one had lived long enough near them to confirm it. As soon as people saw the variety of beasts locked in cages, they rushed forward in excitement to see them. Just then, a guard's voice cut through the noise. Don't be reckless. Trying to tame a beast stronger than yourself can result in a backlash. And in the worst case, you will die. The warning cooled down the excitement. Everyone nodded and began looking for their new beasts. Most of the beasts were in poor condition, making it easier for the newcomer to tame them. Still, it didn't take long before a fight broke out for the ownership of a beast. Leo noticed the commotion nearby. A battered and bruised beast lay on the cage floor. It looked like a bear at first glance, but its sharp tusks and patchy metallic skin told a different story. I saw this bear first. It's mine! A rough-looking, bearded, middle-aged man shouted. Leo checked the beast's details and was taken aback instantly. Ironhide boar, low 2. Mortal bloodline. Personality. Aggressive against weaker foes, but panics in real danger. What type of logic is that? Another lively young man with brown hair shot back. By that reasoning, doesn't it mean that if I see your wife first thing in the morning, I get to keep her? You! Watch your tongue before it gets cut off, boy! The bearded man barked, his face turning red with fury. Just before things could escalate further, another voice rang out, cold and filled with disdain. Tisk! Pathetic commoners. Even if they receive noble status, they remain the same. Zoltan stood beside a cage which was being unlocked by a guard. It seemed like he had already chosen his beast. Inside was a wolf-like beast with dark gray fur and streaks of red and orange running across its body. Its fangs dripped with hot saliva, which looked like lava, giving it a dangerous, almost fiery aura. Leo looked at the beast's details. Ashfang hyena, peak 1, mortal bloodline. Personality. Works well in packs, cruel to weaker prey, runs from stronger beasts. Do similar types attract each other? Kiki, it's fun. Keep training that thing. It might just get better at running away when fighting. Unlike the others, Leo didn't rush to choose his beast. He wandered around the place calmly. Well, I have got time until evening. His gaze kept on sweeping across various beasts. Fongsnout boar, peak 1, a stocky black boar with short tusks, a bristly mane, and mud-caked legs. Mortal bloodline. Personality. Aggressive when provoked, but otherwise obedient. Loves charging blindly. Bog lizard, mid 1, a green, slimy reptile with short legs. Ordinary bloodline. Personality. Lazy, ambush predator. Hollow-eyed hare, low 1, white rabbit with eerie dark circles around its eyes. Ordinary bloodline. Personality. Skittish, reproduces endlessly. Useful for training but useless in real combat. Eek, they even got a Gunner rabbit in here. He kept on looking. Ashplume crow, high 1, a scruffy crow with feathers that look singed at the tips. Lets out a constant hoarse caw and has 1 squinted eye. Ordinary bloodline. Personality. Mocking and noisy. Likes to bully weaker beasts. Not loyal but pretends to be if treated well. Cinder mongoose, mid 1, a sleek, orange-brown mongoose with faint ash streaks on its back and nimble claws. Mortal bloodline. Personality. Curious and brave, but reckless. Often likes to pick fights with beasts much larger than itself. No, I need something better. Then, finally, something caught his eye. A super bloodline beast. Iron Mane cub, Mid one a scrawny lion cub with patchy fur and a dull, wiry mane that looks like rusted straw. Its eyes burn faintly amber, as if filled with anger. Super bloodline. Personality. Proud yet patient. Endures beatings silently and never lowers its gaze, even when outmatched. Shows hints of leadership. This one looks promising, but let's keep on looking. He spotted a few more super types. Stormwing Jay, mid one a small, thin bird with pale blue feathers that look faded and frayed. Its wings twitch in restless bursts. Super bloodline. Personality. Quick-tempered and bold. Challenges beasts far stronger and larger than itself and refuses to back down once engaged. Grimscale pupfish, low one a tiny, bony fish with dull silver scales and bulging eyes. It barely moves in its shallow trough and looks half dead. Super bloodline. Personality. Tenacious beyond reason. Can survive without food and clings to life under impossible conditions. Yet, when threatened, it shows sudden flashes of ferocity. By now, he had completed a full circle and found himself back at the starting point. Most people had already chosen their beast and left to carry out the next process inside the beast hall. I guess super bloodlines are the only ones here. He was about to settle on the Iron Mane cub. It seemed like the best choice since it was the safest and strongest option, when something caught his eye. At the far corner, hidden within the shadows of what looked like an empty cage, he noticed some movement. He narrowed his eyes, trying to get a better view. Obsidian Panther Cub, low 1. Noble bloodline. Personality. Calculating, cautious, and a lone wolf, but immensely loyal if bonded early. Noble bloodline. The cub looked like an ordinary household black cat, and in the dim lighting, it was barely visible as it blended seamlessly into the shadows of the cage. But as he focused, he noticed that it looked tired and weak, but beneath that, there was an unmistakable strength. No wonder everyone ignored it. It was right under their noses. It even is a lone wolf, which means it can work independently. This is good. Without hesitation, Leo called over a nearby guard who was dressed in simple light armor over the beast hall's orange uniform. The guard approached, confused at first, since the cage seemed empty. But then, he also spotted the cub. A cat? Are you sure about your decision to tame it? The guard asked, frowning slightly. I mean, it looks like a normal cat, or it might just really be one. Who knows? The guard thought Leo was mistaken and wanted to make sure Leo wanted it. Yes, Leo replied calmly. I am sure I want to tame it. I have a common rank soul, so I am not confident in taming stronger beasts. Oh well, if you say so. Leo noticed that there was no mockery in the guard's tone. Then he realized why it was so. This guy isn't a beast master. With that, the guard unlocked the cage and carefully brought the cub out before placing it in front of Leo. Now, extend your hand forward and try to concentrate on your talent, the guard instructed. Leo did as told and raised his one hand forward. Closing his eyes, he tried to focus on his talent. A warm, yellow glow began to radiate from his palm before it flowed gently toward the cub. At first, it was startled by the sudden sensation but soon relaxed and let the light envelope its body. The bond formed successfully. Ding! Ding! Tamed beast information. Beast. Obsidian Panther Cub. Name? Bond Chain Bond. Current rank. Low 1. Beast Bloodline. Noble Bloodline. Obsidian Panther Line. Bloodline potential. Rare chance of 7. Current status. Weakened. Undernourished. Specialties. 1. Obsidian Hide. Natural resistance to physical damage and enhanced durability. Its body is far tougher than other beasts of similar star rank. At higher evolutions, its hide can deflect blades, resist elemental attacks, and even endure direct strikes from stronger opponents. 2. Feline Agility. Blessed with extreme flexibility, speed, and reflexes. Even as a cub, its balance and reaction time outclass most low-star beasts. 3. Explosive Power. Panthers strike by sudden bursts of strength. This cub's lineage allows it to unleash immense force in short intervals, making its attacks deceptively lethal despite its small frame. 4. Silent predator, natural stealth combined with fluid movement. In the wild, it is capable of approaching prey without being noticed and striking precisely at their weak points. Skills. Stealth, 30% master low. Oh, I struck gold. And that question mark beside its name. It seems I can name it. Ding. Stats updated. Stats. Vitality 1.1. Strength 1.1. Agility 1.2. Stamina 1.1. Intelligence 1.1. Magic power 88. Looks like this is the work of my beast taming talent. The guard then instructed Leo to will his beast into the summoning space in his mind. Leo focused and willed, and the cub dissolved into a streak of violet light before shooting into his chest. He could sense the cub. It was someone within him, resting in some sort of space, but he couldn't figure out what exactly it was. After that, the guard guided him toward the Beast Hall reception for further procedure. The receptionist wore a nearly fitting orange uniform with long sleeves and subtle embroidery along its edges. Her chestnut hair was tied into a ponytail, and her caramel-colored eyes held a calm, professional gaze. By the looks of it, she seemed to be in her mid-20s, but Leo knew better than to judge someone's age by appearances, especially not a woman's. Following the instructions of the guard, he approached the receptionist. Once there, the receptionist handed him a small pouch along with a medallion. Leo's eyes sparkled at the sight of what lay within the pouch. Inside the pouch were 5 gleaming silver coins, but he quickly hid his expression. Curious, when he asked about both the medallion and the coins, the receptionist explained, her sweet voice effortlessly drawing his full attention. 5 silver is a monthly stipend given to knights. The higher your rank, the higher the amount you will receive. As for the medallion, it gives you the right to claim a portion of a wild territory for yourself. But this is the lowest grade medallion, which only allows you to claim a land that's the size of 10 hectares. The higher your rank, the more wild territory you can claim. She continued smoothly, as if she had given this explanation countless times. And the moment you claim a territory, a symbol is automatically inscribed on the medallion, marking that territory as your own. The Beast Hall is also informed through the medallion that you have claimed a territory, and we register that area under your name. You're even free to sell that territory if you wish to. Leo thought for a moment before asking, how does the medallion know exactly which part of the land I have claimed? The receptionist just gave a smile, clearly having already expected this question. You will have to guide your magic into the medallion and mark your desired area with your thoughts. And for your information, if the medallion senses that beasts or others have overtaken your land, you will be stripped of the rights of that land. Of course, you can even voluntarily give your rights to territory away if you desire. What if I claim a territory and leave it unattended? Leo's brows were furrowed in intense focus, trying to understand the uses. Normally, beasts will take over such territories, she replied. But if they don't, the medallion checks in an interval of every 5 years to see if you have visited the connected territory. And if you haven't, the territory reverts to being a wild one again. She then added, by connected territory, we mean that any spot in that area is part of the territory. That is, even if you sit in a house, you don't have to visit every corner of your land, as that land falls under the specified area of the medallion. But if you have separate plots in different locations, you will need to visit each once every 5 years. Also, a medallion is only given once. If you lose it, you won't be able to claim the territories under your name again. She answered professionally. Well, I guess I will have to be careful. With that, Leo turned around. Just then, the receptionist added, and you can get your rank upgraded along with your medallion after you visit the Beast Hall. We will assess you there and assign an appropriate rank. Leo raised a hand and waved, acknowledging the information, and stepped out. If he had shown such behavior while he was a commoner, he might have been beaten to death. But now he was a noble, albeit of the lowest rank. Still, he was a noble now, and that automatically gave him some leeway. Leo stepped out of the building feeling like a rich man. Let's fucking go. My first step to achieve my free will is a success. I even got money in hand, and it happens to be 5 silver. I can't wait to see Lily's reaction. She will be so excited, and probably hug me too. I can't wait for it. Getting hugged by a beautiful girl. What a dream. He paused. Wait, didn't I already achieve that dream last night? A faint blush crept onto his cheeks as the memory of last night surfaced. Then he suddenly slapped himself. No, don't get distracted by worldly pleasures. You have a goal in your mind. You need to get stronger. Much fucking stronger. Yes. The people passing by shot him strange, puzzled glances before quickly moving away, thinking he was crazy and it was best not to get involved. So what should I do now? He muttered. It's noon, and I don't exactly feel hungry. Might as well look for some weapons. With that, Leo set off in search of a shop that sold decent weapons. Leo checked his assets. 5 silver and 3 bronze coins. Good. I can definitely afford some decent gear. At least that's what he thought before he stepped into the shop. The banner above the entrance read proudly, Hilt's Smithy, and judging from the steady flow of customers coming in and going out, it seemed the shop had a good reputation. But the moment he saw the prices, his eyes widened. 1 silver for a freaking sword, that too of white quality. In this world, equipment, artifacts, and treasures were categorized by color ranks. White, green, blue, purple, yellow, orange, red, gold, black. White was for the lowest and black for the highest. Each rank was further divided into tiers. Low, intermediate, advanced, and peak. Low, mid, high, and peak, with each color representing its corresponding stars and overall strength. Anything above white quality was infused with mana, meaning only people with soul rank could properly wield them. Without it, even if someone with no soul rank could hold such a weapon, they wouldn't be able to bring out the weapon's full potential. Then Leo noticed the sign, fixed price. His lips twitched, and he placed the sword back in its place ceremoniously, as if he were handling a treasure, and began searching for something cheaper. When he finally stepped out of the shop, he held a serrated knife in his hand. It had a sturdy wooden handle that seemed to fit perfectly in his hand, almost as if it had been made for him. 40 bronze. The thought came to his mind again and again as he stared at the sky above with a blank expression as if questioning his life choices. The knife was still only of white quality. Anything with higher quality started at a minimum of 10 silver coins. Should I just use Lily's kitchen knife? That barely costs 50 copper. He glanced at the blade in his hand again. Its faint gleam sparked something within him. No, a weapon is an extension of oneself. It needs to be a proper thing, and I should be grateful that at least I got something I am familiar with from my previous life. He then made a few professional empty slashes in the air, feeling the knife. The power behind it seems lacking. Is it due to this weak body? Well, I will manage. As he walked, he spotted a tavern ahead, and suddenly his stomach grumbled with hunger. Then he remembered his beast. Closing his eyes, he tried to sense it. The creature seemed to be resting within his summoning space. He tried reaching it mentally, and to his surprise, streaks of violet light gathered before him. A moment later, the cub materialized. Well, that was easy. It looked just as it had before, frail and undernourished. He could even spot slight bumps of its ribs beneath its skin. Leo squatted and went to pick it up. The cub tried to step back but stumbled. It was too weak to even run back. He gently caught it by holding its nape, then lifted it to his eye level. Leo observed carefully. Up close, he could see the faint light behind its eyes and its instinct to fight back if it felt threatened. Chill, dude. I am not going to eat you, he said as he shifted it carefully, letting it rest on his left hand with the support of his chest, giving it a proper place to sit. The cub flinched slightly at the word eat, but soon relaxed as Leo gently scratched behind its ears. Chain bond, 40%, 45%. Leo blinked. The affection percentage increased just by stroking its ear? Were you being treated this badly before? He sighed softly, continuing to stroke it. Well, Now that you are with me, you don't need to worry about anything, little one. I am not a bad guy. A faint smile formed on his lips. And there is even a lovely lady you will meet soon. A very lovely one. Wait, is it a boy or a girl? The system doesn't say anything. He muttered, thinking for a while but finding nothing in particular. Ah, name. His eyes lit up as he suddenly recalled the empty name slot. Looks like I will need to give it a name that's gender neutral. Let's see. A black obsidian for shadow. Those tenacious eyes which refused to yield him. An elusive shadow with a piercing gaze. Then it clicked. Shira, he said with quiet confidence, as if proud of himself. Yes, from now on you will be Shira. Do you like it? Leo looked at the cub, which stared back at him with its wide, violet eyes, as if carefully studying him. The moment it heard Leo calling it Shira, it nodded furiously, clearly pleased with the name. Beast Obsidian Panther Cub. Name Shira. Chain bond, 45%, 70%. Wah? The favorability increased this much. Just from a name? Looks like I need to be careful when I name my future beasts. Leo let out a nervous chuckle. Naming had never been his strong suit. This time, it seemed like pure luck that the cub had liked it. Yeah, I will definitely need Lily's help in the future. He added with a soft chuckle. What Leo didn't realize was that receiving a name was a profound, life-changing moment for a beast. It influenced their path towards growth in a subtle way and even played a major role in determining their gender. Beasts weren't born with a fixed gender. They developed one over time as they grew, something that was greatly influenced by their environmental factors and their behavioral patterns. By then, Leo had already entered the tavern. He ordered cooked fish for Shira, knowing well that cats liked fish, and ordered some steak for himself. For one, he could finally afford some good food. When the food arrived, Shira was practically drooling over the fish but didn't touch it. Leo noticed it and just gave a warm smile. Go on, everything's for you. We can order more if you want, he said and pushed the plate closer to it. That was all the encouragement it needed. Shira didn't wait anymore and started devouring the fish as if it hadn't eaten in days. Leo ended up ordering 2 more plates, both of which vanished just as quickly. Chain bond, 70%, 75%, 79%, 82%. This is good. Its favorability is increasing, and it's already above 80%. For a beast master, favorability was a crucial factor, especially while the bond was still at the chain bond stage. In a chain bond stage, if the favorability dropped below 40%, the beast might start ignoring some of its master's orders. And when it dropped below 30%, it would act on its own. And under 20%, there was a high chance that it might even harm its master or run away, though that was only possible if the beast was stronger than the beast master himself. Otherwise, it may remain obedient just because of fear, even with low favorability. This was fairly common among higher-ranked beasts or when the beast had been tamed in a weakened state. On the other hand, higher favorability brought stronger trust. Above 60%, the beast trusted you. Above 70%, it would follow commands without question. Above 80%, it enjoyed being around you and would actively protect you from harm. And finally, when beyond 90%, it might even be able to understand your thoughts even without a need for them to be spoken out. Technically, increasing favorability in the chain bond was usually difficult. But for Leo, things were a lot easier. After all, he carried a gift from a beast god. While Leo was waiting for Shira to finish eating its meal, he noticed that the bumps of ribs were slowly disappearing, smoothing out in real time. What caught his attention even more was how much it had eaten as well as the fact that it was still going on. How can something so small eat that much? It doesn't make sense, Leo exclaimed inwardly, baffled by what he had just witnessed. Then he shook his head. No, I shouldn't follow the common sense of my previous world here. I guess the biology here is different, he concluded with a quiet sigh. As if on cue, a chime echoed in his mind. Ding. Strength. 1.11.2. Looks like Shira got stronger. Nice, Leo muttered, a faint grin forming on his lips. After a while, Shira finally seemed to have gotten full and stopped eating. It even looked visibly better. Its complexion had improved, and its body looked much healthier. Leo paid the bill, grimacing as the total came to 5 bronze coins. Great. Now I'm down to 4 silver and 58 bronze coins, he mumbled. He clenched his fists, excitement bubbling within him. Finally, now it's time to level up. With that, he made his way toward a hunting ground that was said to be beginner-friendly, as only low-1 beasts were spotted in that place. Leo had expected he would face competition and even wondered if he would even find any beasts at all, since other novice beast masters would definitely come to hunt. But to his surprise, when he arrived, the area was empty. A wry smile tugged at his lips as he looked around at the empty grounds. Feels like I'm the only hard-working one around here, he chuckled. Then something crossed his mind. System, how do I use my beast skills? He asked curiously. Host just needs to think of the skill and confirm it through the system. Note: the decision is irreversible, and the number of skills is limited to soul rank. Currently, the host can obtain a maximum of 8 skills per beast. 1 from common rank soul and 7 from mythical rank soul. So I get the benefits of having 2 souls? Doesn't that mean I can tame twice the number of beasts if I have the same soul rank for both my souls? That's... His eyes widened as the realization struck him. And there's even the fact that I can increase my soul rank. That's great! He exclaimed, pumping his fists in the air. He quickly forced himself to calm down and breathed. Calm down, calm down. Focus. My first priority is to get strong. Then I'll try to live in my fantasies. Without wasting any time, he chose to copy Shira's skill. Stealth. Skill copied successfully. Skill acquired. Stealth. 30% mastery low. Oh, so even the mastery gets carried over. This system just keeps making me happier. He laughed aloud. Just then, a faint rustling sound came from nearby bushes. Leo's head snapped in the direction. He spotted the movement, drew his knife, and whispered, Stealth, activate. Stealth, 50 mana units for activation, 1 mana per second for continued use. Expensive, he muttered, nearly crying out. But he couldn't afford to slack when he didn't know what he was dealing with. The moment he activated the skill, his presence dimmed. His footsteps softened, his breathing steadied, and even the air around him seemed quieter. Creeping forward, he peeked behind the bushes. What he saw next made him grimace. A round, semi-transparent creature slithered forward, leaving a slimy trail in its wake. It was about half a meter wide, jiggling like mucus that had come alive. Gray slime, low 1. Ordinary bloodline. Ah! Leo's face twisted in disgust. I guess I can't expect things to go exactly how I want. Still, a beast was a beast, and killing it meant experience points. And so, he steeled himself. Damn it! Looks like I have no choice, he muttered under his breath. He knew slime's weakness. Their cores, but staring at the gooey, wobbling mess, he couldn't see anything resembling one. Where do I even look for the damn thing? He muttered, his eyes narrowed. Mana? 2088s, 1988s. I need to be quick. He lunged forward and drove his knife deep into the slime. PTCHH. A wet, unpleasant sound burst out as his blade and hand sank in, only to slip straight through and appear from the other side, coated in slime. Ugh! So disgusting. Where's the damn core? Leo groaned, stabbing again and again, frustration mounting. The slime wobbled in panic, trying to flee, but Leo's relentless attacks kept it pinned, making its escape impossible. Then, suddenly, it convulsed violently and spat a glob of sticky muck straight at his face. AAA. No! So dirty! He howled, clawing at the mess with his free hand, but it clung stubbornly. Now truly pissed, Leo dropped the knife entirely. Enough of this, he growled, plunging his fingers straight into the slime's body. Just then, his fingertips seemed to have struck something solid. There! He roared. He yanked out the core, and the system notification flashed the next instant. Gray slime killed 2 XP. Level 0, 2 out of 10. Leo collapsed onto his back, gasping. His chest heaved, not from exhaustion, but from pure disgust. That was so bad. Fuck, I don't want to deal with fucking slimes again, he panted, wiping his face with his tunic. The slime, now robbed of its core, truly looked like nothing more than a lump of spat-out snot. The only difference was, it seemed like it came from a giant's mouth. Leo held the marble-sized core, turning it over as he inspected its strange, shifting patterns. Is this thing really indestructible? He wondered aloud, turning it over. He tested it, squeezing it, stomping on it, then hurling it at a rock. The core didn't even develop so much as a chip on it. Nothing. What if I use my talent? He wondered, half expectant. He activated it. Bestiary of souls. Beast core of very low quality, not feasible. Even my talent doesn't accept things from crap. I like that, he chuckled wryly. Then what do I do? Sell it? For 10 copper. An idea struck and he summoned Shira. The next instant, violet motes swirled as the cub appeared, its eyes glowing as they locked onto the core in Leo's hand. Leo smirked and tossed it over. Go on, then. Shira bit into it, chewing it eagerly before swallowing it whole. Leo leaned forward. Well, any changes? He clicked his tongue when nothing happened. TSK, what should I expect from that puny core anyway? After confirming that Shira had gained nothing after eating the slime core, Leo moved on and started looking for other beasts. This time, keeping Shira around. I should probably think of Shira as a girl. I don't know. It just feels right, he muttered as he walked. Not long after, he spotted 2 more gray slimes, but one of them seemed unusually large, nearly a meter in diameter. Is this the work of an adult giant? Ugh, hi, he muttered, already feeling queasy. Gray slime mid-1. Ordinary bloodline. If he wanted to level up, he had to kill. So as much as the sight of slimes repelled him, experience points didn't earn themselves. He instructed Shira to take care of the smaller one while he handled the bigger fellow. As Leo crept closer, the larger slime wobbled, its gelatinous body shifting as if it had locked its non-existent eyes onto him. Without warning, it spat a thick glob of muck straight at his face. Shit! Leo shouted, diving to the side. Swiss! The slime wiggled furiously and fired again, launching 2 more globs this time. He dodged the first, but the second slammed into his chest. Patch! Fa! Leo wheezed as the air was knocked out of his lungs. It felt like he had been hit by a heavy pillow, but instead of comfort, a disgusting, wet, sticky mess spread across his tunic. From the corner of his eyes, Shira burst from the shadows, striking the smaller slime with her paws. Her attack went straight through it, coating her legs in goo. She froze, then frantically began scraping her paws against the grass in panic. Leo, drenched in slime, roared in frustration and threw himself at the larger one, his hands digging into the goo. Come on, just let me see your damn core for once, he snarled, his fingers clawing through the muck. Shira paused, her violet eyes wide. If Leo had seen her face, he'd know exactly what she was thinking. Am I supposed to do that? Her gaze hardened. She let out a low hiss and crouched, forcing herself to refocus on her own target. At last, Leo's fingers brushed against something solid. His eyes lit up as he grabbed it and ripped it free. Yaak! He screamed in sheer disgust, violently shaking the slime off his hand. Gray slime killed mid-14 XP. He stared at the melting corpse with wide, furious eyes, filled with equal parts disgust, rage, and exhaustion. Then, another notification blinked. Gray slime killed low 12 XP. Level 0, 8 out of 10. Huh? Shira! Leo spun around just in time to see Shira chewing on a core while slime suffocated her body. Her little chest heaved as she gasped for breath. Hold still, Leo shouted, rushing over to peel away the muck. He quickly scraped the slime off her face. The moment her snout was free, Shira inhaled sharply, then let out a relieved sigh. "Good girl," Leo muttered, patting her gently before wiping himself down with his sleeve. Glancing at the core still in his hand, he shrugged. "Not worth selling. Here, you take it." He tossed it toward Shira. A notification chimed. Stats updated. Vitality 1.11.2. Strength 1.21.3. Agility 1.2. Stamina 1.11.2. Intelligence 1.11.2. Finally, looks like the mid-1 core was helpful. "Good," Leo said with satisfaction. But then growls. "Grrrhh Kiki." Leo froze. Slowly he turned. It seemed like the commotion here had attracted something. Ugly, bipedal green creatures emerged from the shadows. Hunched backs, drooling mouths and jagged teeth that glinted faintly in the light. "Goblins!" he spat, recognizing them even before the system confirmed it. System windows popped up. Goblin, low 1, ordinary bloodline. Goblin, low 1, ordinary bloodline. Goblin, mid 1, ordinary bloodline. Goblin, low 1, ordinary bloodline. Damn! 4 at once. Leo cursed. But as he studied them closer, a smirk crept onto his face. Their deranged expressions were wild and unfocused. It almost looked like they were drunk and rabid. Their beat-up weapons were more like slightly thick tree branches, and their movements were sloppy, as if their brains barely worked. "Small," he laughed mockingly. None were taller than 2 feet, except one that almost reached 3. Leo wiped his face, drew his knife and stood his ground. Beside him, Shira arched her back and hissed sharply. "Hissus!" The goblins charged. Before they could even come closer, one tripped and crashed into another, while the remaining 2 rushed forward. The taller goblin swung its crude club in a clumsy arc as if aiming at Leo's head. Leo caught the strike with his left hand. "Pathetic," he snarled. In the same motion, he rammed his knife into the goblin's neck, sawing through its flesh with the serrated edge before ripping it free in one brutal motion. Goblin, mid 1, killed, 4 XP. Level up, plus 4 unallocated stat points. Another notification appeared. Goblin, low 1, killed, 2 XP. Level 1, 4/100. Leo glanced sideways. Shira had latched onto another goblin's throat, her eyes blazing. The creature fell limp, but she didn't let go. Her jaw locked like a true predator. "Good job, Shira," Leo called out. The last 2 goblins scrambled up and charged again, screeching wildly. As expected of rabbits, no sense of danger, Leo muttered coldly. He sidestepped one, dodging its clumsy swing, then flipped his grip and rammed the knife into its skull with a clean backhand strike. Goblin, low 1, killed, 2 XP. Shira pounced on the last goblin, tearing its leg. The creature screamed as Leo drove the knife into its head, ending the fight. Goblin, low 1, killed, 2 XP. Level 1, 8/100. Leo reached down and patted Shira's head. She purred softly before dissolving into streaks of violet light. "Sorry, girl. Can't let you eat goblin cores. Those sell well." He glanced at the corpses. 50 copper per piece, right? His gaze shifted to the taller goblin, and he smirked. That one's worth at least 70. He paused, thinking, should I take their corpses? They should fetch some price, but 4 at once. His gaze settled on the larger goblin. Not all 3 of them, just that one. From what I know, the alchemist's main ingredient from goblins is their brain. He then looked at other goblins whose skulls had been completely stabbed. Yep, I am not getting anything from those. He then opened his system interface. Name Leo. Race human. Talents. Bestiary of souls. Primordial beast taming. Soul rank. Common mythical. Level 1. 8/100. Stats. Vitality 1.2. Strength 1.3. Agility 1.2. Stamina 0.5/1.2. Intelligence 1.2. Mana October 96. Unallocated stat points 4. Skills. Stealth 35% low. Great. Now for the stats. Leo paused to think for a while, quickly realizing just how weak his body was. Physically, he was severely lacking from what he used to be in his previous life. So much so that he could feel he wasn't even performing at his old level. So even though the need to increase his intelligence stat and boost his mana capacity felt urgent, he knew that meant little if his body couldn't keep up with his skills. His top priority was to get himself back in shape if he wanted to use the full efficiency of his combat skills. Without hesitation, he placed 1 point into strength. A surge coursed through him instantly. His muscles tightened, and veins bulged slightly to the surface. This feels exactly the same as it did when I was in the military, Leo murmured, clenching his fists. Then a grin slowly spread across his face. Doesn't that mean I was already twice as strong as a normal human back on Earth? Heh. This somehow makes me feel pretty nice. He wasn't wrong. With his strength stat now at 2.3, he was already more than twice as strong as an average person. Here, stats followed a simple linear rule: 2 points meant twice as strong, 3 points meant thrice, and so on. Of course, that wasn't the same for everyone. Soul rank acted as a kind of limiter, something tied to the quality of one's soul and determined just how much of that strength one could use. For instance, a 1-star beast master strength. No matter how powerful their soul was, their strength would cap at 10 stat points. But reaching that cap was a completely different matter for a common soul than for a legendary one. A legendary soul could easily reach 6 attribute points, which was its soul rank value, within days if conditions were right, but a common soul might struggle for years just to reach its limit. Leo's case, however, was an exception. His system and talents allowed him to grow faster, unlock his stats' full potential from the start, and even share those stats with his beasts, something others couldn't achieve unless they possessed rare talents or after they had reached the soul fusion stage with a beast. Now for the rest, he muttered, thinking it through. Let's put 1 point into stamina and 2 into agility. Being faster than your opponent is always useful, whether for confrontations or running for your life. Stats: Vitality, 1.2. Strength, 1.32.3. Agility, 1.23.2. Stamina, 0.5/1.21.5/2.2. Intelligence, 1.2. Mana, November 96. Unallocated stat points, 40. Good. Now let's test this. He bolted forward. The sudden burst of speed caught even him by surprise. In just 10 seconds, he had covered nearly 170 meters. That's around 60 kilometers per hour. His eyes widened. Holy shit! That was awesome. He returned to his original spot within seconds, panting lightly. Phew! Leo exhaled, wiping the sweat off his forehead. Yep. I need to increase my stamina a bit more. Stamina, 0.9/2.2. He then began gathering the loot, picking up goblin cores one by one, until he paused. Something shiny had caught his attention. Wait, is that a damn mana crystal? Leo's eyes lit up. Lucky me. Mana crystals were condensed forms of mana, usually found deep underground or occasionally inside beasts. They were common among higher-level creatures but rare among weaker ones like the goblins. They were expensive too, useful for restoring mana, conducting experiments, or research. Even rarer were soul crystals, found only in 1 out of 100 beasts, and were capable of directly increasing intelligence. Better sell it, he muttered, tossing the crystal into his pouch. An extra penny doesn't hurt. After storing the goblin cores, he severed the 3-foot goblin's head and placed it in a separate pouch before heading back. But before he could get much further, his return was interrupted. A hulking silhouette caught his attention. An orc. A large humanoid creature with an ugly, pig-like face. The orc was bruised, bleeding from several spots, and was dragging a dead boar by its leg. Looks like it hunted that thing and got hurt in the process, Leo whispered, crouching behind a cluster of bushes. A sly smile crept on his lips. A perfect opportunity. But the moment he checked its status, the smile vanished. Orc, Peak 1. Mortal bloodline. Leo's heart sank. Peak 1 star. He muttered, lowering his voice. Dangerous, but worth it. Just by looking at it, I can practically feel the free XP I will get. Then his gaze shifted to the bloodied cleaver in the orc's hand. But I need to be extremely careful, he thought grimly. He could kill me in a single movement. He then glanced at his mana. Mana, 15/96. Why does it regenerate so slowly? He hissed. No choice. He pulled out the mana crystal and gulped it down. Mana, 15/96, 35/96, 65/96, 96/96. Whoa. Even a low grade is enough to completely restore me. He summoned Shira, crouching down to her level, and quickly began explaining the plan. Now you know what to do, he whispered. Shira gave a small nod before activating her skill and melting into the shadows, her violet eyes fading between the trees. Her mana was just enough to activate her skill once more. Leo activated stealth, knife in hand, and crept toward the orc. The creature trudged along, snorting and grunting as it dragged its prey, until it suddenly froze. Its instinct screamed. With a heavy thud, the orc dropped the boar and turned sharply, scanning the woods. Then it spun with startling speed, its cleaver slicing through the air in a wide horizontal arc. But what it saw left it stunned. A small black creature had appeared out of nowhere, leaping backward just in time to dodge. Then a chill crawled up its spine. Gotcha! Leo's voice came from behind. The orc twisted, its eyes widening. Just in time to see Leo emerging from the shadows just like the creature a moment ago. His knife raised and ready to strike. The orc tried to raise its weapon to defend, but it was too late. The blade sliced cleanly through both its eyes, blinding it instantly. The orc roared in agony, swinging its cleaver wildly in every direction. But Leo had already stepped back, watching as the creature thrashed blindly, desperate to strike something. Previously, Leo had instructed Shira to sneak up on the orc and slightly reveal herself at the last moment to bait an attack from it before jumping backwards. And in that moment, Leo, who would already be behind it thanks to his speed, would strike from behind, blinding it. He didn't know if his knife could pierce the orc's skull, so blinding it seemed like the safest option. The orc, distracted by the noise of the boar being dragged by itself, never even realized it was being approached from two different directions. Then Leo noticed something strange. The tissue around its eyes had started regenerating. It's healing, he hissed, immediately activating stealth again. The mana crystal's effect hadn't worn off and was still restoring his mana. Cloaked in stealth, Leo slowly crept toward the maddened orc as it swung its cleaver blindly. But getting close wasn't easy. Each swipe of the orc's weapon tore through the air with lethal force. Shira, hidden nearby, could only watch and was unable to help further. Her mana had already been drained from maintaining her stealth skill for a long time. Tsage. Leo clicked his tongue, crouching low behind the brush. This isn't working. Then an idea struck him. He glanced at Shira. Make some noise, anything. Shira gave a sharp nod and began hissing loudly. The orc's head snapped toward the source of the sound, and with a furious roar, it charged and swung its cleaver toward her. That was Leo's opening. He appeared behind the creature like a phantom, knife glinting faintly under the dim light. Gripping the handle tightly, he drove the blade upward into the base of the orc's skull, the weakest part of the bone. But the beast didn't fall completely, thrashed wildly, trying to grab Leo off its back. Hiya! Just die! Leo roared, forcing the knife deeper with all his strength. A sickening crunch echoed, followed by a still silence. Then the system chime echoed in his mind. Orc, Peak 1. Killed, 200 XP. Bonus. Plus 100 XP for killing a higher-ranked beast. Level up. Level up. Level 3, 86 169ths. The next level requires 30% more XP than previous. Plus 8 unallocated stat points. Yeah, I killed it. And even leveled up twice. Leo yelled, panting heavily as adrenaline surged through him. But his stamina bar blinked dangerously low. Stamina, 0.2/2.2. Shit, he muttered and quickly got to work. He began extracting the orc's core. Beside it, he found a faintly glowing crystal. Great, he grinned. This gaze then shifted to the boar the orc had been dragging. I guess this one's mine now, he said, grinning ear to ear. He crouched beside it, knife in hand, and began cutting into the boar's chest to extract the core. From its size, he could tell, a high one beast. Unfortunately, there was no mana crystal. But as he tried to pull his hand back, his fingers brushed against something solid. Frowning, he dug deeper and yanked it free. It was a crystal glowing green instead of red. Soul crystal, Leo gasped, his eyes widening. He had overheard others talk about these before. Rare treasures that could be found only once in 100 beasts. And it's from a high 1-star beast. Without a second thought, he swallowed it whole and sat cross-legged, letting the energy surge through his body. A few minutes later, he opened his eyes. Intelligence 1.23.6. Mana 2296/214/288. Mana recovery rate equals half of intelligence stat per minute. This shot up by more than 2 points, he muttered, his jaw dropping. No wonder these things are so damn expensive. He wasn't exaggerating. Even a low-tier soul crystal, like the one Leo had just absorbed, could sell for over a silver. High-grade ones? They were easily worth gold at least. Beside him, Shira stared at the boar's core, her eyes gleaming, drool nearly threatening to slip from her mouth. Leo noticed and smiled softly. Here you go. Without you, this wouldn't have been possible. He tossed the core to her, and she devoured it greedily. Almost instantly, he sensed the change. Shira low one, Shira mid one. Her muscles rippled as fresh power surged through her body. The ambient mana rushed toward her, and she even seemed to have grown slightly larger. Stats updated. Vitality, 1.22.5. Strength, 2.33.1. Agility, 3.23.8. Stamina, 0.3/2.21.0/2.9. Intelligence, 3.64.0. Mana, 215/288/247/320. Unallocated stat points, 8. She reached a higher minor realm, and the feedback is incredible, Leo exclaimed, scooping Shira joyfully into his arms and spinning her around. Chain bond, 82%, 85%. Shira purred softly, nuzzling his neck, clearly enjoying the attention and love. Ha 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 ha, this is great. Leo laughed, his voice echoing through the forest. Then his gaze drifted toward the fallen beasts. Orc meat probably sells far more than boar meat. But I want both. A new idea struck him. Scanning the area, he soon spotted exactly what he needed. A thick slab of tree bark. Perfect. He tore it off carefully. It looked like a crude sled, just without wheels. Good. This will work. He then placed both the corpses onto it, stacking the orc over the boar, then grabbed one end of his makeshift sled and started dragging. With his strength above 3, he barely felt the weight slowing him down. By the time he reached the city gates, the guards were already staring at him. One of them stepped forward, blocking his path. You killed those? The guard asked, his brows raised. Leo simply nodded and flashed his copper badge. The guard examined it, then gave him a long, incredulous look. Don't you have a family to share and celebrate the good news with? Most new beastmasters spend an entire month celebrating before going on their first hunt. It was true. Normally, new beastmasters spent their first month celebrating and training their beasts with their families, supported by the Empire's stipend of 5 silvers, a token of honor for their awakening. But Leo, he had gone hunting the very same day. Scratching the back of his neck, he smiled awkwardly. I guess I was just excited to try things out. The guard sighed, half impressed, half confused. You're a strange one, he muttered, then waved him through. As Leo dragged his haul inside, the guard's eyes lingered on the corpses. Damn, He must have a pretty high-level soul and seriously good talent to hunt beasts like those, the guard thought bitterly. Most guards were only common-ranked beastmasters, or ordinary men who had earned their posts through connections. None of them would dare step beyond the city walls to face real beasts. Watching Leo disappear into the streets, a flicker of envy crossed his eyes. Meanwhile, Leo kept walking forward in a certain direction, drawing numerous glances along the way. People stared, some in awe, others with barely hidden greed. After all, most common folks rarely saw beasts up close. A hunted orc and boar was a rare and interesting sight. Some even eyed the corpses with greed, maybe for the meat of the corpse itself. But no one dared to act. Anyone who was capable of hunting such things was definitely not someone they could provoke. If they did anything the person didn't like, he could easily deal with them. So they maintained their distance. After a while, Leo finally arrived at the place he had been looking for. Leo stood before a building that proudly bore the name Blade and Beast Emporium. He'd heard that many establishments dealt with monster materials, along with weapons, armor, and tools. But a few, like this one, were officially contracted with the Beast Hall. Those were considered trustworthy, as ripping off customers meant losing those contracts and facing severe penalties. The building itself was a blend of wood and polished stone, with white pillars that gave it a faintly medieval charm. It stood on slightly elevated ground, a short flight of stairs leading up to the entrance. Just as Leo was just about to step inside, a young man approached him. The young man wore a well-fitted leather doublet over a clean tunic. His sharp eyes and calm smile carried the quiet confidence of a seasoned trader. A green cloak, clasped with silver, draped over his shoulders, and the pouches at his belt hinted at his understated wealth. A faint, pleasant perfume left a pleasant trail in the air around him. "Sir," the man began smoothly, "I assume you're here to sell these corpses?" Leo gave a short nod. "In that case," the man continued without missing a beat, "please allow us to take them for examination here. The tree bark and debris could damage our flooring inside. I assure you we will deal fairly." Leo accepted the suggestion with a curt nod. At a signal from the young man, 2 workers came over. They quickly lifted the corpses and carried them to a nearby inspection area, clearly visible from where they stood. Turning back to him, the young man gave a small bow and guided Leo to a nearby couch. "My name is Gerald Riku. I manage this branch of the Riku family business. We deal in beast materials." "Leo," he answered simply. "I'm a beast master." Gerald's eyes brightened at the word. "Then you must be of quite a rank to hunt beasts like these," he said, his tone warm. Leo shook his head, correcting. "No, I awakened today, and this was my first hunt." Gerald blinked, taken aback. "He awakened today? I thought he was a veteran beast master." "I know that the awakening trial happened earlier today, but aside from the Baron's son's surprising awakening with super rare soul, there hadn't been any high level." Sensing his confusion, Leo explained that he had gotten lucky when he encountered the injured orc and killed him. Gerald nodded, seemingly accepting the story. Even so, having the courage to attack an orc, even if it was a wounded one, is admirable, he thought. One of the workers returned and leaned in to whisper something to Gerald. Gerald's expression shifted smoothly back into professional composure before he turned to address Leo. "The appraisal of the corpses is complete," he said. "The goblin head is worth 1 bronze. The boar will fetch 50 bronze coins. As for the orc, 1 silver and 50 bronze. The orc would have gone for more, around 2 silver and 50 bronze coins, if its body hadn't been so heavily damaged." He then gestured toward the torn spots on the orc's corpse, wounds that had clearly been inflicted by the boar during their fight. Leo raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Sensing that Leo was likely unfamiliar with the trade, Gerald offered a patient explanation. "Beasts absorb ambient mana, which enriches their flesh with mana. When consumed, it can increase a person's innate mana capacity. And since orcs are high-rank beasts, their meat is especially valuable." He paused, then added with a faint, amused shrug, "And the orcs taste quite good too." "Thank you for explaining," Leo said, offering a brief, sincere smile. He then placed the cores and mana crystal onto the tray. Gerald slipped on a single silver-trimmed spectacle and examined each item with practiced efficiency. Barely 5 seconds per piece for his trained eye. At last, he set the mana crystal down with a satisfied nod. The mana crystal is peak 1 quality, probably from the orc. That's 20 bronze, Gerald said, tallying as he spoke. These 4 are clearly goblin cores, 50 copper each for the smaller ones. The 4th is obviously of better quality, 80 copper. And the orc core, 15 bronze. He closed the ledger with a soft tap. Your total comes to 2 silver, 38 bronze, and 20 copper. Leo had already done the math in his head and found nothing amiss. He accepted the payment without hesitation. If Gerald had known that a freshly awakened commoner could do such quick calculation, he'd have been astonished. In this society, that level of numeracy usually belonged only to well-off or noble households. Leo's new balance came to 6 silver, 96 bronze, 30 copper. Even excluding what Lily had given him, he had earned more than what the 2 of them together might make in 2 years. The thought made him smile faintly as he pictured Lily's reaction. As he left the building, Gerald called out, "It was a pleasure doing business. Do come again if you need anything. We also sell equipment and tools." Of course, Gerald was pleased. He earned a 5% commission on every business he handled, which meant he himself had made a sweet 35 bronze from Leo's transaction alone. It might not seem like much to a noble's son, but for Gerald, it was significant. Being born in a competitive noble family with many siblings, he and his mother had been left alone to fend for themselves after his father lost interest in her. As a final act of consideration, his father had secured him a position in one of the family's branch shops, even though Gerald hadn't awakened. Life had never been easy for him either, especially now when he had to take care of his mother who had gotten sick. Leo gave a respectful nod and moved on. Outside, the sun was dipping low below the horizon, casting warm orange rays across the town, bathing it in its hue. He walked leisurely through an alley, a shortcut to home, his thoughts drifting as he daydreamed about the future his awakening had unlocked before eventually drifting to Lily. Maybe I should tell her to stop working. I can earn enough now, enough that we can live comfortably. Of course, I'll still get stronger, bash that bastard Baron's skull. Maybe even renovate the house. His thoughts were abruptly cut off. His pupils shrank as instinct took over, and he ducked down just in time, only to see a glimpse of a blade whispering past his neck in a horizontal slash. Tisk. TSK. Norn, are you getting senile? How could you miss such an easy strike? A man said, irritation lacing his tone. Leo stumbled back, his eyes wide. Then recognition hit him like cold water. Norn, Juan, Lanz. These were the men who had killed the body's previous owner. Heh, did you see that? The way he dodged that attack? He ducked at the last moment, Juan said with a sly grin, misreading Leo's wary expression as fear. TSK, this is the reason I hate beast masters, Norn muttered, his lips curling. From what I know, he awakened with a common soul, but look, his reaction speed has already increased. No matter. His gaze sharpened. Today he dies for real. But how the hell is he still alive? Lanz asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. That's what even I am wondering, Norn muttered, narrowing his eyes. I personally made sure his breathing stopped before we ran off. Did he fake it? If yes, then he is a damn good actor. Juan spat to the side and said darkly, well, now it doesn't matter, does it? Let's finish our job, and this time, we will take his head for the proof. Yeah, Lanz grunted. I don't want to deal with Furious Sultan again. I thought he was going to kill us for not doing the job properly. Thankfully, he gave us another chance, and I am not taking any chances when he has awakened. He could still clearly recall how mad Zoltan was on them when he figured out Leo was alive and had even awakened beast-taming talent. If Leo wasn't killed this time, they had to be ready to leave their heads behind. TSK. All because of his lust after that commoner girl. Hans clicked his tongue. Leo watched their exchange with cautious eyes. If he did it right, he could escape or rather kill them outright, nipping the problem here itself. From what he knows, these three were not beast masters but hunters, so he could try to deal with them. Hunters were people who stepped into the path of beast hunting, even though they didn't manage to awaken a beast-taming talent. Most of these were people who had soul rank, since soul rank meant a person had mana in their body and could temper their body comparatively more easily than those with no soul rank. However, hunters are still far inferior to beast masters due to their inability to make contracts with beasts. Since a tamed beast allowed its master to get skills and made it easier to use their soul more effectively and efficiently, also the fact that they couldn't fight alongside a beast, they were much weaker. Hunters had a different guild called the Hunters Guild. These were specifically for people who were not beast masters, but had the ability to fight beasts with magic equipments and soul techniques. Unlike beast tamers, they didn't have ranks and were not rewarded with a nobility status. All hunters are of the same rank and authority, but to separate veterans and newbies, they have a credit system. These were given to a hunter when they completed a mission. A more difficult mission provided more credit. For instance, a hunter is said to be a veteran when their credit is above 1,000. And a simple goblin subjugation, low to mid 1, task, F rank, provided 2 to 4 credit points. Norn, Juan and Lan's credits averaged around 400 to 500 points, so they were still not considered veterans, but enough to deal with commoners and newly awakened beast masters. Zoltan had hired them to kill Leo previously because beast masters, even one, are expensive, and didn't want to make an unnecessary expense. Shouldn't he receive the knight's 5 silver monthly stipend? Norn sneered, stepping forward with his sword dragging lazily by his side. Well, looks like we're finally becoming rich today. Zoltan had hired them for just 20 bronze coins each, and they needed money to pay off their debt, which had occurred due to gambling and juicy nights. Leo's eyes twitched as he heard them. They practically already take him for dead. Stop where you are, Leo said with a slightly raised but firm voice. HM? Did I hear a dog bark? Juan sneered, cracking his neck. Looks like surviving once from us made you confident. Huh? Lan smirked, sword gleaming under the dim light. And there's also the fact that you became Beast Master. Well, looks like the world will have one less Beast Master today, Lan said. Leo's tone turned sharp. Do you fools not know the consequences of trying to harm a noble? Noble? Ah yes, a noble, but doesn't a higher noble have our back? And it's not like anyone's gonna figure out who is killed when their head is missing. Norn chuckled, showing his yellow teeth. He was just a few meters apart from Leo, as he didn't stop moving forward. He raised his sword for a downward slash at Leo's chest. Heh, don't say I didn't warn you, Leo said as he suddenly sidestepped while increasing his stats, the blade slicing empty air. Stats update, VIT 2.5, STR 3.15.1, AGI 3.86.8, STA 2.3/2.94.3/4.9, INT 4.05.0, Mana 288/288/400/400. Unallocated stat points, 80. Leo felt the newfound strength surging through him. Now his build was far superior to these scums. His strength and agility were now comparable to a high 1 beast. And these people only hunted low and rarely mid 1 beasts. Before Norn could regain his balance, a fist came and hit him squarely on the chest with a thud. Goo! Norn choked, blood spilling from his lips as he stumbled backwards, coughing violently. Juan and Lans were alarmed by Leo's sudden counterattack and drew their swords as they charged forward. They had expected a clean kill by Norn as Leo's head fell off. But not only had he dodged 2 times, one of which was an ambush, he had also brought Norn to his knees. This was unforgivable. They only thought Norn was careless and Leo got a lucky shot. You filth! Juan shouted as he got in range of Leo and struck his sword down. Leo wore a calm expression. Slow, very slow. Juan's movements were as if watching a turtle. He pivoted and chopped down at Juan's wrist with a precise strike. Crack! Arg! The sword from Juan's hand fell to the ground as he shouted in pain. Lan, seeing all this, took a step back, becoming wary. This is not the one we... Leo was already on move. Before Lance could react, Leo's next blow connected with his arm. The impact numbed it instantly, and Leo used the momentum to grab and hurl him into a nearby wall. The wall was painted with spiderweb cracks. Lance groaned, blood trickling from his mouth as he tried to stand. Then came a scream, piercing and agonized. Triple Area. Leo turned, and what he saw made him scrunch his legs. Shira, whom he had summoned earlier with her stealth skill activated, had latched onto Juan's crotch, biting down hard. The man convulsed, his screams turning hoarse as he clawed helplessly at the cub with his broken wrist, in process falling and rolling on ground. Damn, is it her racial trait that's in play? I don't ever want to deal with her when she is angry. Asterisk explosive power. Panthers strike with sudden bursts of strength. This cub's lineage allows it to unleash immense force in short intervals, making its attacks deceptively lethal despite its small frame. Indeed, lethal, Leo muttered. Norn, who had been watching everything from the back, stood frozen, his eyes wide open and his mouth hanging open. For a moment, he even forgot the seeping blood from his lips and the excruciating pain blooming in his chest. What the hell? How is he this strong? Did Zoltan lie to us? I am sure he has a high-ranking soul. And that beast. Where the hell did it even come from? It looks like the cat he mentioned, but its power. He stumbled back, panic flooding his face. Shit, I might actually die here. Juan's screams were abruptly cut short as Shira's fangs tore through his throat in a single, clean motion. Tish, this beast. It killed Juan. Norn gasped, stammering as he struggled to push himself upright. I need to run. Meanwhile, not far away, Lance, bloodied and barely conscious, noticed Leo's shadow creeping closer. His eyes widened in pure terror. Just moments ago, Juan had been alive, and then the black beast ripped him apart. Now it was his turn. Lance tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. The severe concussions and fractures along his head and spine had left him completely immobile and helpless. Wait. Leo, no. Sir Leo, I was just follow. His plea was cut off as Leo drove a kick into his gut, knocking him out cold. Leo didn't even blink at the gruesome sight before him. He had long grown numb to seeing bloodshed. When he was on the battlefield, he had watched many of his friends die in cold blood, and he himself had taken countless lives. Having blood on his hand was something he was already used to, so the bloodshed he was making now wasn't affecting him in the slightest. If anything, it gave him a sense of satisfaction. Satisfaction of avenging for this body's previous owner, something that was evident by the subtle curve on the corner of his lips. The previous owner of this body hadn't merely been killed. He had been tortured by them. Though the damage from the outside didn't seem much, Leo's body from the inside was injured to a great degree. Even if it wasn't much for Lionel Draven, for a regular, average man, these injuries were no less than death sentences. They hadn't just killed Leo. They clearly had taken their time to torture Leo, and enjoyed doing it. Norn watched Leo's every action, his body trembling with horror and eyes trembling, while his thoughts spiraled into a mess. Is this really the same guy we tortured before? Fuck. I shouldn't have taken the work to kill someone for money. He muttered under his breath, his voice shaking with regret and fear. I should have known something was wrong when he was still alive, even after I made sure he was dead. Who knew he was such a monster? Norn muttered as his mind raced, desperately trying to think of ways to get out of this situation. But that bastard Baron's son, Zoltan Milty, got me good right when I was drowning in debt and then threw an offer of 20 bronze coins. Who could refuse in such a situation? Especially when he even said he would cover us for only a supposed killing of a commoner. Damn, I need to figure out some way to get out of this. Somehow, Norn thought, damn it, why you really think you can get away with killing us? Norn stammered. We are working under Zoltan Milty, the Baron's son, and now that he has awakened, he will definitely figure out who killed us and will come after your ass. Norn gulped down as he tried thinking harder. Leo said nothing. He simply stared at him, his eyes silent and menacing. The beast was already out of sight, and he didn't doubt it wouldn't attack him from anywhere, making him feel even worse. But if you let me live, Norn swallowed hard. I swear, I won't say anything. I'll tell them these two died fighting each other. Leo just let out a quiet sigh. You are right. He will come after me. Norn's eyes lit up with a flicker of hope. So, do you? But didn't you say? Leo interrupted him, his tone turning cold. That no one recognizes a man without a head? The grin that appeared on Leo's lips was enough to drain the color from Norn's face. Next, Leo's foot came down hard. Crunch. Lan's skull gave way under the force, and blood splattered across the dirt from his nose and ears. Why, you're a madman, Norn screamed. Please spare me. I have a wife, kids. They need me. But Leo wasn't taking any of that. Are you suggesting I should spare someone who came to kill me for a few coins, and pity a family who I don't even know exists? Leo scoffed. Forget stranger. Even if the person trying to kill me was a close relative, I would kill him without hesitation. The next moment, Shira appeared and slashed Norn's tendons. Already struggling to stand, Norn collapsed onto the ground as Leo squatted and picked up Lan's sword. TSK. These swords seem even worse than white-grade weapons. Leo examined the blade briefly before stepping over Juan's corpse. With a few deliberate slashes, he masked Shira's handiwork, then drove the sword into Juan's chest and crushed his skull. He repeated the process with Lan's body using Norn's sword, then tossed the sword beside his corpse. Norn could only watch, helpless, dread deepening in his eyes with every passing moment. When Leo finally turned toward him like a grim reaper, he broke completely, scrambling forward and bowing desperately. I will do anything, please. Leo stopped in front of him. I would have loved to take my time torturing you, he said coldly. But that would ruin the story I am trying to create. Consider yourself lucky for a quick death. With that, Leo's fist shot forward. Norn's head burst apart, splattering the brain matter on the ground as his body fell back lifelessly. Phew, dealt with the trash. Now, for the rewards. Ding. Killed Hunter Juan, 467 credits, 47 XP. Killed Hunter Lands, 498 credits, 50 XP. Killed Hunter Norn, 531 credits, 53 XP. Level up. Level 4, 67/220, plus 4 unassigned stat points. Leo didn't forget to loot them thoroughly, but his expression quickly soured when he saw the amount. TSK. Only 32 bronze coins from all three. Poor assholes. For all the trouble he went through, it was barely anything. Well, at least I leveled up. He quickly shifted their bodies, once again making sure their faces were unrecognizable and everything was according to his plan. It was simple. Make it look like they had killed each other, and when the last one remained, barely alive, a third party finished the job and killed the last member before disfiguring their faces and looting all their money. Good, everything's done, Leo said as he gently stroked Shira's fur. She had found her way over his shoulders and was purring softly as she nuzzled his neck. Chain bond, 85%-87%. It's still evening. Lily might still be working. I should probably get something for her, Leo thought, changing direction toward the market, completely unfazed by the bloodshed he had left behind just a while ago. He sent Shira back into the beast summoning space. I wonder where beasts actually go when they enter the beast master's body. Meanwhile, at a restaurant, a woman in her mid-30s with black braided hair stood by the grill, expertly cooking some food. After a moment, her gaze shifted to a young girl with pink hair. Lily, you should head home early today, she said. I heard that your brother was seriously hurt, and you even asked James for some medicines. Sarah, the restaurant owner James' wife, spoke gently. Lily, who had been slicing the meat with a sleek knife, looked up in surprise. Yesterday, she had noticed that Leo was trying to hide his internal injuries from her, probably because he didn't want her to worry. Still being concerned, she decided to ask James for some medicine, who, after hearing her story, gave her a pill that eased pain and boosted internal healing. It was already nearing late evening. The moon had risen above the horizon. Normally, leaving this early wouldn't have been a problem, but today was a special day. It was the day of the awakening trials. The restaurant had been packed all day. People who failed to awaken came to drink and share their sorrows, while those who awakened came to celebrate. And now, the grand event. The celebration of Baron's son's awakening. James' restaurant and Sarah's culinary might not have been the most luxurious place, but it was among the top restaurants when it came to taste and service. And just earlier that evening they received the news. Zoltan's awakening celebration would be held in their restaurant. They had even received fresh orc meat from the messenger so that they could prepare it for the celebration. When James asked who had hunted the orc, the messenger simply said, a high-level beast master had taken it down single-handedly. James knew exactly why Zoltan had chosen their restaurant for his celebration. Lily. That was the reason why he instructed Sarah to send Lily home early. No one knew what might happen once the celebration began. Be careful on your way back, and don't take shortcuts, Sarah warned as she saw Lily out of the restaurant. I heard 3 people died while fighting each other, and some unknown culprit looted their bodies, and also disfigured their faces. Most of the preparations inside were already completed, and now they were simply waiting for the guests to arrive. Lily just nodded silently and headed off. As Lily's figure disappeared into the crowd, James stepped up behind Sarah. She's a hard worker and a good girl, he said in a relaxed tone. Yeah, she is. Sarah's voice sharpened. It's just her bad luck that Baron's eyes caught sight of her family, especially that scum son of his. And now that human waste has even awakened TSK. It's going to be more difficult to deal with them now. It's indeed bad. If only I hadn't been injured when my bull died. James' voice trailed off. Sarah turned and wrapped an arm around him from the side. The other workers noticed them but simply got busy with their own work. They were used to their boss's lovey-dovey nature and even appreciated it. It's not your fault, so don't blame yourself for it, Sarah said softly. Everyone knows that the Baron set that up to kill you. Be thankful that you survived. I know I am thankful. She looked into his eyes, her voice much gentler now. James only let out a quiet sigh. Well, anyway, I heard today was her brother's awakening trial. I hope he succeeded. Lily already knew why Sarah had sent her home early. Zoltan, she muttered, her voice laced with disgust. She still clearly remembered the day when he had stumbled into the restaurant, completely wasted, his lust-filled eyes crawling all over her body. If it wasn't for James, she wouldn't have escaped the situation so easily. But since that day, he continued to bother her, going as far as to even send men to follow her home to know where she lived. Thankfully, she had managed to evade them every time. But she wasn't worried about herself. With her rare-ranked soul, she was stronger than most normal people and also knew some basic self-defense techniques. She had even been saving some money to buy a sword so she could become a hunter and earn more. Her only worry was Leo. He was her only family, and she cherished him dearly. Even if Leo wasn't her real brother, she had never felt uncomfortable around him. He always tried his best to act like a gentleman around her, often making her laugh. Even yesterday, despite being injured, he tried to act tough and even refused to let her help him bathe. I wonder if he will sleep with me again. A faint pink blush touched her cheeks before it quickly faded. Tomorrow, I will ask Master James to employ Leo as a waiter. That will be for the best. Even if I have to beg, I will make sure Leo works in a safe environment. With a steeled resolve, Lily reached home, only to find that the door was locked. Has he not returned yet? Maybe he's upset about the trial results, she murmured, unlocking the door. I guess I should give him some space. Her thoughts drifted as she stepped into the house. Meanwhile, Leo was walking down the street, carrying a few bags in his hand. He had visited various shops on the way, buying things for Lily, himself, and a few items for a small celebration. The total cost had come near 1 silver coin, but he didn't regret it. New clothes for both of us, some candles, boar meat, bathing soap, he muttered, then glanced over his shoulder. And firewood a few. Guess I won't have to sleep next to her again. He exhaled as if a huge burden had been lifted off his chest. It's not that I don't want a girl to hug me, not to mention a pink baddie. It's just that I don't trust myself. Not when things between us are still unclear. When he reached home, he noticed that the door was already open. Looks like she got back early, and that's even better. Humming a song from Earth, he stepped inside. Knock knock asterisk. Lily, it's me. Open the door. Leo called from the outside. Coming! Her sweet voice answered from inside. A moment later, the door was opened, and Lily opened the door. Leo, you're back. Come inside, she said, stepping aside to let him enter before quietly shutting the door behind him. The previous Leo had strictly told her to always lock the door from inside whenever she was alone. Even though they were in a comparatively safer area, with many families residing nearby, it would never hurt to remain cautious, especially when Zoltan was actively searching for her. Lily's eyes drifted to the many bags he was carrying in his hand, and she shot him a curious glance. What's all that you are carrying? She asked. Just some things for the house, Leo replied, clearly holding back, as if he were creating suspense for a big reveal. Anyway, I am going to take a bath now. You should also get ready by the time I bath, she added, narrowing her eyes at him. You look like you rolled in dirt. Then she gave his body a quick glance. Thankfully, there were no visible bloodstains on him, so she didn't suspect that he had engaged in a fight. Oh, then take this. There's soap in there along with some clothes that I bought for you, Leo said, handing her one of the bags. She didn't bother asking why he had bought all this. She simply took the bag without looking inside and walked toward the bathroom. Maybe he doesn't want me to worry over his failed trial. Humph, idiot, regardless of what happens, I will take care of him. Leo noticed how she was avoiding bringing up the topic of the awakening trail. He knew she was being considerate, trying not to hurt his feelings if he had failed. He remembered when Lily had failed her own awakening and how she had intentionally avoided talking with him. It was only after the body's previous owner talked with her and reassured her that he didn't care if she awakened or not, that nothing had changed and she was still the same to him, that she slowly returned to normal. Still, he had noticed something different in her afterwards. She had developed a quiet, newfound resolve. Lily was about to reach for the new soap Leo had bought, but paused, her brows furrowed. The soap seemed softer than the usual coarse one. Frowning, she brought the soap out, and her eyes widened. It was a luxury soap, the kind that cost a whole bronze coin, compared to their regular, rough, cheap soap which she usually bought and was barely worth 5 copper coins and provided only basic cleanliness. This was on a completely different level. While her heart raced in her chest, she quickly scrambled and rummaged through the rest of the things Leo had bought for them. A dress. Not just any dress, but one made with fine stitching and soft fabric. Not to mention, it was a pink gown with an elegant look that would perfectly match her hair. This would have definitely cost a fortune. Leo! She shouted, rushing out of the washroom. That was when she found Leo arranging things he had bought with him. Candles, meat, spices, and whatnot. Wah, what is all this? She exclaimed, completely flabbergasted. Leo, who was already expecting such a reaction, turned to face her with a wide grin, but that grin faltered the moment he saw her. The girl was wrapped in nothing but a towel, barely covering herself. A tone of skin was being exposed, especially those huge mounds that seemed hell-bent on breaking free from the layer that bound them. It was all just too distracting. Leo, explain, Lily demanded, not caring about anything else. Leo, who was still trying his best to compose himself, felt like his mouth was loose and about to slip. I awakened as a beast master, he admitted, turning his head to look elsewhere, but failed miserably. The suspense he had planned had completely been thrown out of his mind. Are really? She asked, almost thinking as if she had heard him wrong. Yes, I really did. Now you don't need to worry about anything anymore? he said, finally managing to look away as he gave the confirmation with a confident voice. But the next moment, he felt something soft wrapping around him. Then, that soft turned hard real quick, to the extent that had this been his old, weaker body, he might have actually been crushed. Then a faint warmth and dampness spread across his chest. Lily was crying. "I am so happy. So happy for you," she said between broken sobs, her voice cracking between her tears, which were happy tears. Leo gently placed one hand on her back and the other on her head, holding her close. "Not just for me, but for us. We can finally live properly after so long." He didn't complete his sentence, but she understood what he meant. After Lily's parents, i.e., Leo's uncle and aunt, were killed, their lives had become miserable. If it weren't for the restaurant owner's kindness, even being alive would have been uncertain, let alone dealing with Zoltan's greedy eyes on Lily. After a brief moment of warmth, Leo awkwardly broke the silence. Lily, I know you're happy, but now that you know everything, could you maybe finish what you were about to do? I am having a hard time deciding where to look," Leo said and raised his hands in surrender. Lily, now calmer, glanced down and immediately understood what he meant. A mischievous glint sparked in her eyes. "Ah!" she exclaimed dramatically, as if deeply hurt. "Did I raise such an ill-mannered man? Throwing aside a distressed damsel just for his own comfort? Looks like I need to teach you some manners." With that, she pressed herself even closer, tightening her arms around his chest and nuzzling him affectionately. Leo squirmed under her, trying to free himself, but found himself trapped, both physically and mentally. Then suddenly, he felt something was trying to awaken under his crotch. This control. Control yourself, Leo. Lionel Draven. Fucking control yourself. Lily was clearly enjoying every bit of his reaction, barely holding back her laughter until finally, she let go of him and dashed toward the bathroom, her hair swaying in a wavy motion behind her. But just before closing the door, she dropped a bombshell. "Just so you know, Leo, I want to be more than your big sister." Her face was flushed crimson. The last words had barely come out as a whisper before she slammed the door shut. Leo, who was under immense pressure to control himself, heard her sentence as she closed the door and froze. What? Did I hear it correctly? He stared at the door in disbelief as the sound of water splashing followed. His already fragile control finally snapped in full glory. The food was ready. Lily had cooked, candles were lit, and the two of them now sat at the table in comfortable clothes. She wore a soft gown, while Leo had changed into a simple t-shirt and trousers that looked decent. Lily looked unusually happy, as if a huge burden had finally been lifted off her shoulders. She started the conversation. "So, where's the beast you contracted? From the looks of it, you seem to have had a lot of fun with it before coming home." "Humph, I will forgive you for not telling me first." She turned her head with an exaggerated expression. Leo just sighed and summoned Shira. The moment Shira appeared, her eyes locked onto the food placed on the table. But before she could even drool, a gentle hand curled around her waist and scooped her up. What followed was an unstoppable onslaught, nuzzling, cuddling, and cheek squishing from Lily. "Highest!" Shira made threatening sounds, trying to scare Lily away. She knew Lily wasn't a threat because of her connection with Leo, but this had to be stopped. "Gwar, Pweeps." Shira's fierce growls quickly turned into helpless squeaks of please as she looked at Leo for help, only to find him watching with an amused, sly smile. "Leo, what is this? Why did you keep such a cute thing hidden from me? Aren't you asking for a beating?" Lily snapped, even hissing at him like Shira. Leo quickly defended himself, explaining that Shira needed to stay in the beast taming space to recover her strength quickly and stay in good condition. "What's her name?" Lily asked. "Shira." "Wah! How did you come up with such a good name?" she asked, completely surprised. "Just sudden inspiration knocked on my door. But hey, would you like to help me in naming my future beasts?" Lily just stared at him with a deadpan expression. "Idiot, is that even something you need to ask?" Of course I will. And don't you dare hide these cuties from me in the future again. She warned and continued her machinations with Shira. I understand, ma'am. Leo replied quickly, startled by how fierce her voice had suddenly turned by the end. They continued eating, but Lily's attention was now entirely on Shira, feeding her whatever she wanted without a second thought. Did Lily really forget the bomb she dropped earlier before gonna bathe? She acts as if it had been the most natural thing in the world to say. Suddenly, Lily brought something forward. Here, eat this. Master James gave it to help with your internal injuries, she said, handing him a small brown pill. This? How did you know I was? He stopped mid-sentence when he noticed Lily staring daggers at him. You, she said coldly. If I ever catch you hiding your injuries from me again, trust me, I won't let you off the hook. I will tie you to the bed and keep you grounded until you're completely healed. What the hell? Why am I getting Yandra vibes from her? And of course, you will be sleeping with me until you have recovered completely, she added, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. Wait. What are you even saying? I am not injured much, and you don't need to. He was cut off as Lily suddenly shot up from her seat. Then, in one swift motion, she grabbed the pill and shoved it into his mouth, forcing him to swallow. Ding! Low-grade vitality pill ingested. Plus 0.8 vitality. What were you saying? Lily asked, her tone dangerously calm, as if she were delivering a death threat. What don't I need to do? Leo swallowed nervously. That was close. And what's with this new personality? Was she always like this? No, wait. Now that I think about it, any girl that interacted with me would avoid me like a plague the next day. Was it all her doing? Damn. Sarah's culinary. Lord Zoltan. It seems that the restaurant owner was telling the truth. We didn't find any pink-haired girl in the building. Zoltan's butler reported to him. TSK. I should ask my father to get rid of that restaurant owner for real this time. Why can't he keep his ass out of my business? Zoltan muttered, clearly annoyed. When he had first arrived at the restaurant, he had been in an excellent mood. Not only had he awakened, but the Baron had also appointed him as the official heir, granted him an allowance of 30 silver, and even stated that if he continued to improve, his allowance might increase along with greater privileges, perhaps even preferential treatment over his siblings. The Baron had also given him permission to use force to get whatever he wanted, so long as he didn't offend anyone powerful. This was precisely the reason he had come to the restaurant. His plan had been simple. Fabricate an offense, claim that Lily had offended and disrespected him in some manner and take her away for punishment. The restaurant owner wouldn't be able to do anything. After all, a commoner had offended a noble, and it was deemed an act worthy of punishment. Fuck it. My mood's ruined. Have those three dumbasses finished their mission yet? Where are they? Zoltan snapped at his butler, irritation creeping into his voice. They haven't returned yet, my lord, the butler replied promptly. But I am certain they have got rid of that man. After all, dealing with a newly awakened beastmaster, especially one with a common soul, is no different than dealing with a commoner, or, more accurately, an insect. The butler, Arnold, answered promptly. The butler, Arnold, was a low 2-star great knight. He hadn't used the term insect before when Zoltan hadn't awakened. But now that Zoltan had awakened, Arnold was eager to feed his master's ego, and perhaps even bag a few coins for himself in the process. Arnold himself was a beast master of considerable potential. He possessed a rare soul and had, by chance, acquired a beast with a super bloodline. And thanks to it, his rise to great knight had been relatively swift. But that quick success intoxicated him. Driven by confidence, he had tried his luck by venturing out into the wild. He came across a region sparsely populated with beasts. Seeing this as his opportunity, he used his medallion, which now allowed him to claim up to 20 hectares of land now that he was a great knight, and marked the territory as his own. What he forgot to consider was why only a few beasts lived there, and that mistake came back to bite him in his ass the worst way possible. Mist Prowler Tiger, a fiercely territorial beast, and when Arnold claimed its territory, it was already at peak 2-star rank. Unfortunately for him, the tiger immediately sensed the foreign energy disrupting its domain and taking over its territory, so it went for the hunt. On a fog-laden day, while Arnold was searching for a suitable place to build his stronghold, the beast ambushed him. The man barely survived. The only reason he lived was because he ruthlessly sacrificed all 3 of his tamed beasts, even his strongest one. But his survival came at a devastating cost. His soul was damaged, dropping it from rare to common grade in no time. He lost his ability to use skills forever, along with his right to claim land. The territory he claimed had been stripped from him, leaving him unable to claim another one under his name unless he ranked up or purchased a new one. The Beast Hall immediately took notice. He was demoted and his monthly stipend was reduced to a mere 50 bronze coins. Because to them, he was nothing more than a cripple and of no use to the Empire since he couldn't rank up and grow to his previous ranks. But 50 bronze coins were nowhere near enough. Not when he had taken a loan of 60 silver coins for what was supposed to be a super bloodline beast, only for it to end up being a mortal rank beast. Now he was in debt, weak, not to mention his own vices, gambling and his uncontrollable indulgence in colorful nights. Desperate, he turned to the Baron. The Baron employed him to guard his son, at a wage of 1 silver coin. But that wasn't even close enough to pay the debt. His interest was 3 silver coins. So Arnold began resorting to criminal activities. He began beating, sometimes even killing, innocents to rob them. He raped to satisfy his urges. He also assisted Zoltan in shady dealings for extra money. And when his own son failed to awaken, he killed him so that he could reduce the cost of his living. Say Arnold, Zoltan said casually. Why not just kidnap her and bring her to me? He slid 2 silver coins towards him. I have had enough waiting. If she is not in front of me today, you will have to deal with another corpse in the morning. Zoltan's eyes turned cold. Arnold quickly snatched the money. It will be done, he said. But I think I might return late. I will need to track her using my beast. But I would need something that has her scent. Zoltan just smirked and reached into his pocket, pulling out a piece of cloth. Before handing it over to Arnold, he brought it close to his nose and inhaled deeply. Take it. This should be enough. Arnold departed without another word, the room falling into silence behind him. She really is a Yandere. That was Leo's first thought when he saw the possessive gleam in her pink irises, locked firmly onto him. Looks like Shira getting closer to me triggered her reaction. I need to be careful or an innocent girl might end up getting traumatized just because she was looking at me. Leo agreed to sleep with her until he was fully recovered, hoping she would calm down and return to finishing her meal. At that moment, Lily was happily having her dinner, a pleased look on her face. Beside her, Shira was still devouring her food from her bowl as if starved for days. I need to know clearly if what Lily said earlier was serious, or just a joke. I don't want to do something I can't take back. Taking a breath, he steeled his resolve to ask Lily out. Lily, he began, his heartbeat quickening. Yes. She looked at him expectantly, urging him to continue. Did you really mean what you said before? His heartbeat was uneven. This was his first time he was talking to a girl like this. Lily's face flushed a dark shade of pink. What are you talking about? She stuttered, looking elsewhere. About me looking differently to you. Are you sure? He pressed. He needed a clear answer. Lily puffed her cheeks, annoyed at how blatant he was. Nonetheless, she answered. Humph. Idiot. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't mean it. And I don't want to be separated from you. Ever. You are only one I have left with, and I, Shira, who had been patiently watching the scene unfold from the sideline, suddenly stiffened. Her ears perked up as if in alert mode. In an instant, she activated her stealth skill, disappearing into the dark corners of the house. Leo sensed something too. His expression sharpened, and he stopped Lily mid-sentence, stepping closer to her. Drawing his dagger out, he held it defensively. Leo, what? Lily stopped mid-track as the front door exploded inward. Boom! Finally found that wench's house. Now, who are you? Arnold's gaze locked directly with Leo, who stood protectively in front of Lily, shielding her. Is that how you introduce yourself after breaking into someone else's home? Leo replied, his eyes narrowing as he cautiously examined the intruder. Leo, he's Zoltan's butler, Lily said, recognition dawning on her face. Leo, you are still alive. Arnold frowned. What happened to the goons that were sent to kill you? He was clearly talking about Norn, Lanz, and Juan. So you are with that waste of a man that's harassing Lily? Leo said coldly. As for them? Why don't you go and ask them in hell? A faint smirk tugged at his lips. Arnold's expression turned serious and cold as the meaning behind Leo's words sank in. Behind the man, a beast emerged. A wolf-type beast with dark blue fur, its presence suffocating. Wind Breath Hound, Peak 1 star, mortal bloodline. Shit! Even though Leo had hunted a Peak 1 star beast before, that one had been injured and even caught off guard thanks to their ambush. But fighting this opponent was a completely different thing. This one was prepared and trained. But there was no other choice but to fight them while also protecting Lily. Shira has already disappeared. I need to distract them until she can perform her surprise attack. How did you find this house? Leo asked. House? Arnold sneered, glancing around with an exaggerated look on his face. Well, everyone has their own standard. So about your question. He then pulled out the piece of cloth Zoltan had handed him and brought it close to his face, giving it a deep sniff. This should look familiar to you, right? I must say, even the smell is irresistible. Makes me wonder. Leo's eyes darkened. Leo, that's what Zoltan tore. Lily didn't complete the sentence, but Leo understood it completely. Looks like I need to thank Master James by myself someday. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened until now if not for him. But this mere butler, how dare he do something like that in front of Lily? He won't be going back today. And what's that knife out for? Arnold scoffed, drawing his sword. Do you really think a newly awakened beast master can challenge me? Why don't you try me? Leo replied calmly, his eyes sharp. He could instinctively feel it. Shira was prepared. Without hesitation, he distributed all 4 of his unallocated stats into agility for perfect response. Agility, 6.8-10.8. Now, his agility was officially in the ranks of a 2-star, which meant that he was faster than any agility-type Peak 1-star beast, giving him an advantage that was yet to be known to his oblivious enemy. Swos! The wolf suddenly snapped its head, its nose twitching as it sniffed the air around. It caught a faint disturbance in the air, a blur of shadow streaking toward its master at impossible speed. Awoo! With a howl, the beast lunged to intercept. Shira appeared in a flash, intending to slash Arnold's neck, but the wolf cut her off from the side mid-path, blocking her. She vanished back into the shadows, her violet eyes glittering in the dark. Arnold's attention momentarily flickered due to Shira's sudden appearance, forcing him to move his eyes from Leo. But that was all Leo needed. Giving even a split-second opening to a trained soldier was never good. With his enhanced reflexes, Leo closed the distance between him and Arnold within a second. His dagger glinted in the candlelight as he drove a powerful stab straight at Arnold's face. Arnold's eyes widened as he saw the blade's sharp edge closing in on him at incredible speed, so fast that he could even see the reflection of his eyes on its polished surface. Impossible! Never in his life had he thought that a newly awakened beastmaster could be this fast. He twisted his head back with everything he had, but it wasn't enough. The dagger's trajectory made it impossible to dodge. The dagger tore into his cheek, then carved itself upward across his face, slashing high enough that his right eye burst out. But Leo didn't stop at just that. Using the momentum, he drove his elbow straight into Arnold's chin. Thunk! The strike sent a few of Arnold's teeth flying and also forced him to bite down on his own tongue brutally, filling his mouth with blood as the piece of tongue fell on the floor. Leo! Lily screamed with a panicked voice. He was on his way to give a liver punch to finally knock the man out, but the wolf was already there, closing in with bloodshot eyes, its sharp fangs bared, ready to tear him apart. Leo spotted the sword in Arnold's limp grip that was on the verge of falling unconscious. He snatched the sword cleanly and retreated toward Lily while Arnold staggered a few steps, struggling to regain his senses and steady himself. "Are you fine?" Lily choked out, panic tearing through her voice. Leo pressed the sword into Lily's hand. "Here, take this and defend yourself if someone comes close to you. All right?" Without waiting, he shifted into a stance and activated his stealth skill. He couldn't afford to give them even a single moment to recover. "Huh? Yeah, fine." Lily nodded shakily, clutching the sword as Leo's figure disappeared, melting into the shadows the same way as Shira had. "Arg! Bastard! I will kill you!" Arnold roared, but with his one eye gone, jaw cracked and tongue chopped. His senses were in disarray, and he was having difficulty sensing his surroundings. His mind was still a mess from the uppercut. Wasn't his soul only a common rank? How is he able to exert so much strength? "You! What's your soul rank?" Arnold shouted into the empty air, only to see Lily standing alone, gripping his sword. "Huh? Where?" He shaped his head to the side, catching only a glimpse of the same small shadowy figure that vanished again in an instant. "Shit!" Arnold ducked low, barely dodging a lethal strike aimed at his neck. With his long experience, he wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. "You like to play games, huh? Wind Hound. Use your skill." The wolf stopped searching for Shira. Around it, a crescent-shaped magical constructor wind began to form. 1, 2, 3, 4. A total of 4 constructs. But they weren't aimed at Leo or Shira. This beast was just as despicable as his master. "Lily, use the table to defend yourself," Leo shouted. Shira reappeared and slammed into the wolf's face, throwing off its balance. Stealth, 100% low dash, stealth, 2% intermediate. Able to completely erase presence in darkness and partially in well-lit areas. Still detectable by scent and certain abilities. By then, Lily had ducked behind the tables just as the wind slashes were unleashed. But the beast was once again disturbed, struck by Shira's paw strike as it raked across the wolf's eyes. The beast's attacks veered off course, striking into the walls instead. The impact made the walls crumble, cracks splintering across them until they reached up toward the ceiling and kept spreading outward. The structure began to fail. "No!" Leo shouted, dashing toward Lily. Even Arnold sensed the danger and began retreating. "Go out of the building, Wind Hound!" Lily watched the house begin to collapse, memories of their happier days flashing before her eyes. But Leo's voice quickly snapped her out of her daze. "Lily, I am carrying you out. Shira, hop on my shoulder." With that, he scooped Lily into his arms, lifting her in a princess carry while Shira leaped onto his shoulder. "Leo, take the metal box under my bed too. It's important." "All right." Leo nodded and rushed into the room. Lily grabbed, and in the next moment, Leo dashed at his top speed. Not through the front door, knowing well that Arnold might be waiting for an ambush. He sprinted at full speed until they reached a safe distance, just in time to watch the house slowly cave in on itself. Lily stood there silently, gripping the box tighter as she tried to control her emotions. "Shira, stay with Lily. I have some unfinished business to take care of." A sharp glint flashed in Leo's eyes as he looked toward a distant point. "No, Leo, don't go. He won't come back after what you did to him." Lily pleaded with him to stay, worried that Leo might get in danger if he were to fight them alone. Leo reassured her softly, saying that he would be fine before disappearing, not even waiting for her reply. Shira stepped closer, rubbing her face gently against Lily's shin, trying to comfort her. Lily looked down at the cute creature, which was trying its best to soothe her, and then at the sword in her hand, the one Leo had snatched from Arnold. Its polished and sturdy blade gleamed, unmistakably marking it as a green-quality weapon. She tightened her grip on its handle. A cold breeze brushed past her as she lifted her gaze toward the direction Leo had gone. Did he escape through some other door? Just as Leo had expected, Arnold was waiting near the main door, ready to ambush them. Arnold reached up, touching his chin and the deep slash that ran across his face. Arg! A groan tore from his throat as the pain throbbed all over his face. Fuck! I don't think I can see from my right eye, even after healing magic. How can a newly awakened beast master move like that? Is he really a common soul like Zoltan said? After scanning the surroundings once again and not spotting any signs of Leo or Lily, he decided to back away since people had started to gather nearby. He signaled the wolf to retreat. The beast had fared no better. It had lost one of its eyes when Shira attacked it at the critical moment. Together, they slipped into the darkness of a narrow alley. Arnold began wrapping his wound, his hand trembling slightly as the bleeding continued, while the wolf remained alert, vigilant for any sneak attacks. Swoosh! Ahurg! Fuck that bastard! Arnold muttered, tightening the bandage. Swos swos. And that wench! His voice turned venomous. Just let me prepare thoroughly for the next time. When I will get back, I will incapacitate that asshole and rape her right before his eyes. Fuck. He tied the knot tightly behind his head. Swoop. Leo was already moving. To an ordinary person, he would have looked like a flicker, vanishing from one place and reappearing in the blink of an eye. He was practically more than 10 times faster than an average human. He was cutting through the streets at a speed of nearly 75 meters per second. Then he saw it. A thin trail of blood that led him to an alley. A faint smile formed on the corner of his lips and activated his stealth skill. Maybe it was his luck. The wind seemed to be moving in Leo's favor. The wind flowed in the opposite direction of his travel, carrying his scent away and making it impossible for the wolf to know of his approach. Moments later, he spotted Arnold, still busy tying his bandage. Leo closed the distance at lightning speed, his presence nearly erased from their senses. Then he struck. Whip! Pop! Arnold was in the middle of cursing Zoltan when suddenly a sharp popping sound reached his ears, followed by a tearing sound near his knees. Before he could even process it, his legs gave out and he crumpled to the ground, unable to bear his body weight. Arg! Arnold's shrill scream echoed through the alley as he collapsed and the pain kicked in. The unaware Windbreath hound flinched, startled by the sudden scream. It turned sharply, only to see its master crumpled on the ground, blood pouring from his knees. You idiot dog! Do something! Arnold shrieked, panic and dread flooding his voice. The wolf panicked and spun in place as he tried to search for the attacker but found nothing. Leo was gone. With the skill's advancement, seeing Leo in the darkness was nearly impossible unless other senses were involved. But to the wolf's dismay, today the wind wasn't in its master's favor. Clank. Leo lunged, aiming to attack the wolf from its blind side, but the beast noticed him and reacted just in time to snap its jaws on the knife. Leo's attack was caught mid-motion as the wolf caught the blade with its jaws and growled angrily. With a violent twist, the beast flung Leo to the other side. He lost his hold on the knife's handle and was sent staggering back, barely managing to regain balance before he activated his skill once again and disappeared. Mana 132/400. Leo's jaw tightened. He was running low on mana. He needed to finish this, fast. Behind him, Arnold struggled to stand, but every attempt ended the same way. His legs buckled, sending him crashing back down, followed by a searing pain that assaulted his entire body. What the fuck did you do? Why can't I stand? It's just 2 cuts, you motherfucker. He screamed in frustration and pain, unable to understand why he wasn't able to stand. Leo had precisely severed his hamstrings near the knees, tearing them apart and making him immobile. This was a grade 3 injury in his dictionary. Even with proper treatment, walking normally would take at least months, if not more. Do they not teach biology here? The thought crossed his mind before he reappeared and threw a punch at Wolf, but missed. TCH, a peak 1-star beast is still a peak 1-star. The beast retaliated immediately and began unleashing crescent-shaped wind blades in rapid succession, firing wildly toward any hint of Leo's presence. Shit! Leo moved on instinct, dodging frantically as he sidestepped, dived, and even rolled. But one blade slipped through. It managed to graze his chest, and a thin line of red spread across his shirt. Good. Keep going, you foolish dog, Arnold shouted, a flicker of hope finally igniting in his eyes, as he started directing the wolf to attack in perfect spots by guessing Leo's next destination. Wild beasts usually act on their instincts, charging headfirst into battle without much thought, and that made them easier to be tricked and hunted by intelligent species. Under the command of a capable beast master, however, even a low-star beast could go against stronger opponents if the conditions were right. Leo, unfortunately, was accumulating damage as time passed. He had failed in his attempt to close in on the beast and strike it, and now all he could do was wait for the beast to run out of mana. But he wasn't in a good state either. With only 62 mana left, he couldn't afford to waste activating his skill for naught. Time dragged on, and with it he lost more blood. His movements slowed. His body grew heavier with each passing second. The whole area around was smeared in red, his own blood along with Arnold's. Hack! Leo turned just in time to hear a gurgle sound from behind, only to see Lily driving the sword he had given her straight through Arnold's chest. Then, arp dash! At the same moment, Shira lunged at the wolf, clawing at its face and leaving it completely blind in both eyes. Lily proceeded to twist the sword. Arnold stared at her, horror etched across his face, as if silently begging for mercy. How dare you hurt my Leo this much? Lily's voice trembled with fury, and a fierce expression formed on her face. For a brief moment, Leo could have sworn her eyes glowed faintly pink as her rage intensified. Then she moved. With a shocking strength for someone who hadn't awakened, Lily dragged the blade upward, ripping it from Arnold's chest and straight to his face, splitting the skull into two as she tore the sword free. As if that wasn't enough, she followed it with a clean cut across his neck. In an instant, Arnold's body fell apart into 3 pieces, 2 halves of skull and a severed torso. The moment Arnold died, the beast staggered, as if struck by a backlash. Seeing the opportunity, Shira didn't hesitate. She lunged forward and clamped her jaws around its neck with full force, crushing its windpipe and ending its life at the same moment. Beast Master Arnold, Great Knight, killed, assist. Low 2-star, 1000 XP. Dash 0 XP. No XP granted if the killing blow is made by someone else. Plus 2000 XP for successfully eliminating an opponent of an immediate higher major rank. Wind Breath Hound killed. Peak 1 star, 200 XP. Additional 50 XP for killing a comparatively higher ranked beast. Plus 2250 XP. Level 4, 67/220 dash. Level 4, 220/220. Level up. Level 5, 0/286 dash. Level 5, 286/286. Level up. Level 6, 0/372 dash. Level 6, 372/372. Level up. Level 7, 0/484 dash. Level 7, 484/484. Level up. Level 8, 0/629 dash. Level 8, 629/629. Level up. Level 9, 326/818. Plus 20 unallocated stats. Plus 30% more XP required than previous level to level up. Vitality, 1.4/2.5. Strength, 5.1. Agility, 10.6. Stamina, 1.8/4.9. Intelligence, 5.0. Mana, 11 out of 400. Leo. Lily dropped her sword and rushed towards Leo, who was bleeding from multiple wounds on his body. One deep gash along his ribs and countless smaller cuts and lacerations across his arms, shoulders, thighs, and legs. Only his face remained unscathed, though it had turned pale from all the blood loss. "We need to get you to a healer right now," She reached to support him by the shoulder, not caring in the slightest if her new dress was stained with blood. Leo took a moment to register that all danger had been truly dealt with. Then a thought struck him. Stats. He quickly allocated the 5 attribute points to vitality and stamina. Vitality, 1.4/2.5-6.4/7.5. Stamina, 1.8/4.9-6.8/9.9. Relief washed over him instantly, as if someone had pressed a cold ice over a burning wound. Lily, who was carefully supporting Leo to stand upright, saw the unbelievable and froze. Right before her eyes, his injuries had started to close at an unnatural speed. Scabs formed above the injuries rapidly, sealing wounds that should have taken days to heal. She could even feel his body getting sturdier by the second. Even his breathing steadied and color slowly returned to his face. It was as if time itself had accelerated for his body. What is this? Panic flickered across her face as she witnessed something she had never heard of. She examined his body and wound, even carefully pressing against the scabbed area to see any anomaly. She even lifted his shirt to get a clear view of the deep cut that ran along the side of his ribs, only to see that even that had already been sealed, almost like it had healed, and was covered in a dark layer that seemed ready to fall off at any moment. With his vitality suddenly increased, Leo's body responded by making it stronger and repairing itself at an incredible rate. Now, the only thing that couldn't be replaced in the process was the blood he had lost during the fight. This doesn't look bad. But Lily's voice grew calmer as she checked him one last time, not wanting to leave a single wound on his body unchecked. Seeing that he was no longer in danger, she visibly relaxed. Leo just chuckled at her bewildered expression. "Don't worry, I am fine. I gained a special ability that lets me heal faster," Leo said, trying to explain it in a way Lily would easily understand. "Fine?" she snapped. "What do you mean by fine? You idiot. Who told you to run away suddenly like that? What would have happened if Shira and I hadn't arrived in time? You could have died. Even with that healing ability of yours, you're not invincible. And if..." She went on, reprimanding Leo over his reckless actions without break. Leo visibly shrank under her words, thinking about his time in the military, when reckless success was rewarded by a medal, not reprimands. Finally, Leo gathered the courage to stop her. I get it. Please, just stop," he said quickly, pressing his palms together in a pleading gesture. "And I only did it because I didn't like the way he spoke to you." Lily blinked, caught off guard by his sudden comment, but quickly composed herself. "Fine, I will let you off the hook this once," she said, finally stopping. "Phew, that was terrifying," Leo muttered under his breath. "What?" She narrowed her eyes. "I mean the fight. That was terrifying," he corrected instantly. "Anyways, let's see what we've got here." He quickly changed the topic, and without waiting, he started moving toward Arnold's corpse. Shira had already extracted the core and mana crystal from the wolf while Lily had been busy scolding him. Leo rummaged through the body, pulling out 4 silver coins and 62 bronze coins. Finally, he found a torn piece of cloth, the one that had been used to track Lily. The moment Lily saw it, her expression turned serious. "That cloth? It's from my sleeve," she said quietly, her eyes narrowed. "Zoltan tore it off when I was taking away the dishes." Leo looked at her, waiting for her to continue. "He waited until I was around and called me over, saying the food wasn't to his liking and wanted it changed. When I leaned in, he suddenly grabbed my shoulder. When I tried to pull away, it got ripped. Master James came just in time to resolve the matter and sent me back inside." Leo clenched the piece of cloth in his hand. "Zoltan." His voice turned cold. "Don't worry. From now on, you won't need to worry about him. I will handle anything or anyone he sends at us." Lily lowered her gaze as if the thought saddened her. She only responded with an Leo noticed it but chose not to press her. Instead, he turned back to the corpse and proceeded to smash the parts of the head, making sure that no one would be able to identify the man. Leo, did you kill a group of 3 men recently? Lily asked suddenly, recalling what Sarah had mentioned earlier about smashed heads when she was leaving the restaurant. Leo raised an eyebrow at the sudden, particular question. Yes, I did. They attacked me first, trying to kill me on Zoltan's orders. Do you hate me for killing people? He wanted to know her thoughts when she fell into thought upon hearing Zoltan's name. Lily shook her head. No, it's not that. It's just, you were targeted because of me. Her voice trailed off, guilt filling her heart, when she thought that Leo was forced into danger because of her. In this ruthless world, even the common people had become immune to the guilt of killing, and more so if it meant their own survival. So, Lily wasn't affected by what Leo had done, only by the reason behind it. Leo stepped closer, his expression firm. I would face any threat and attack if it were for you, Lily. Believe me, you are the most important person to me in this world. I won't let anything happen to you. Leo was completely serious, and he meant every word he had said. To him, and even to the previous owner of this body, Lily was precious. In the short time he had known her, Leo had felt her genuine care. Even if it might have seemed a little twisted in nature, which she hid carefully beneath the surface, it didn't bother him at all. He knew people like her well enough through the novels and anime, and he wasn't afraid of that kind of love. Lily was caught completely off guard by Leo's shameless words. Her face flushed, growing redder by the second as she quickly turned her head away. Idiot, you are also the most precious thing to me. Why would I want you to be in danger? She muttered under her breath, and thanks to his enhanced senses, Leo heard every word. A small smile formed on his lips as he beckoned Shira to come closer. She obediently brought the core and mana crystal to him before jumping over to Lily and settling comfortably on her shoulder, perching herself around her neck. Leo's mouth hung open when he saw her. Such betrayal! He had even considered giving the core to her, but clearly, her appetite had already been satisfied. If she really needed it, she would have been drooling by now. Since she was still digesting the boar core, she decided to act all proud and haughty instead. Shaking his head, Leo tucked the coins, core, and mana crystal into a pouch. Then the two of them made their way toward the site of their collapsed house. Leo looked at the wrecked house with a calm, unreadable expression. Lily, on the other hand, tightened her grip on the metal box, her eyes filled with sadness. Sensing it, Leo gently pulled her closer, letting her lean into him, resting against his shoulder. They stood there in silence, watching what remained of their home. A few people approached, recognizing them, and asked about their well-being. But when they saw their bloodied clothes and Leo's scabbed wounds, they naturally assumed the two had barely escaped death after crawling out of the collapsing building. After a while, Leo decided they should find an inn for the night, at least until they could find a proper place to stay. But as they walked down the silent, dimly lit street, Leo suddenly staggered. A translucent system interface appeared before his eyes. Warning! The host's body was subjected to extreme movement beyond its handling capacity, resulting in severe muscle strain and temporary shutdown. Recommended treatment: healing magic or potions. Estimated natural recovery time: 6 hours. What? Leo lost balance as his legs felt unbearably heavy and his entire body ached. Lily reacted instantly, quickly catching before he could fall. What's happening? She asked, panic creeping into her voice as she quickly began checking for injuries she might have missed. Leo just gave a weak, wry smile. I am just tired. He could barely stand straight, and his weight fell over Lily's shoulder. Surprisingly, Lily held him firmly. When he tried to steady himself, Lily assured him softly that she could handle it and guided him forward. Without another word, they changed direction. Their new destination, Sarah's Culinary. It was late, and most restaurants had already closed for the night. James was outside, busy putting benches back inside the building. His large, bear-like physique made the heavy lifting look effortless. As he turned, he noticed two figures approaching. His eyes narrowed, and he adjusted his grip on the bench over his shoulder, ready in case they were attacked. But the moment he got a clear view of the two figures, he dropped the benches and hurried forward. "Lily, what happened?" His voice was deep and intimidating, but to Lily, it was only filled with concern. She knew that despite his rough appearance and intimidating tone, James was a kind-hearted person. "Master James, please help Leo. He's injured and tired. Our house. It collapsed after we were attacked by Zoltan's butler." Leo looked barely conscious, as if he might pass out on the street itself if he were allowed to lie there. James' eyes quickly examined Leo. He could clearly see that Leo was tired beyond exhausted, but his injuries were healing at an astonishing pace, and he wasn't in any sort of immediate danger. Then he noticed the bloodstains on his and Lily's clothes and also the various cuts on them. How did he even survive? With that amount of blood loss, he should have already fallen unconscious, maybe even dead. Did he awaken? James asked quietly for confirmation. Lily just nodded. "James?" A woman's voice called from within the building. Sarah stepped out through the door, her gaze instantly locking onto Lily and the boy she was supporting. "Oh my God, Lily, what happened? Are you fine? And who's that? Is that man beside you your brother?" she asked, quickly rushing towards them. "James, what are you doing? Carry him inside. We need to check him," she quickly instructed. Without hesitation, James took Leo from Lily's arm, hoisted him onto his back and carried him inside the building before gently placing him on one of the chairs. "How is he? Will he be fine?" Sarah asked James since she wasn't able to judge Leo's condition just by looking at him. After examining carefully, James frowned and responded with a look of confusion. "Fine? He is in perfect condition. Even his wounds have completely healed. The only issue is that his body is severely overexerted. It looks like he pushed himself far beyond his limits." Sarah let out a sigh of relief. "That's good to hear. But are you hurt anywhere, Lily?" she asked, turning to Lily. "No, Miss Sarah, I am fine. It's just Leo's blood," Lily replied, glancing down at the blood-smeared dress, the one Leo had gifted her, with a complicated expression. "What exactly happened? You mentioned something about Zoltan's butler attacking you," James asked. Lily briefly recounted what had transpired with them. As she continued, James' expressions darkened and anger flared within him. It reminded him of the ambush Baron had once orchestrated against him. So Leo awakened as a beast master? Sarah ignored the bad things and caught the important ones. "That's wonderful. Now you won't have to worry about Zoltan bothering you anymore," she said, clapping her hands together. Now that Leo was a noble, Lily, being his family, would automatically be considered one. That alone would make it difficult for Zoltan to use petty excuses of her being a commoner. "Anyways, it's getting late, and since Leo looks exhausted, you both should rest. We can continue our talk in the morning. There are some empty rooms upstairs for use," James said, pointing towards the staircase as he handed Lily a key. Alongside the restaurant, they also ran an inn, earning some extra income. "Ah, right, you will need 2 rooms," he added, reaching for another key. But Lily stopped him. "No, Master James. 1 room is enough for both of us. I need to take care of him." With that, she supported Leo over her shoulder and headed upstairs. James blinked and turned to Sarah with a baffled expression. "Huh? What was that? Did I just see her blush?" Sarah stroked her chin thoughtfully as if she were an old sage. Now that I think about it, they don't really look like siblings. Their faces are quite different, and so are their hair color." "Wait, do you mean?" Sarah simply giggled and walked off to do her unfinished work, leaving James to his own thoughts. Splash! Lily carefully bathed Leo, washing away all the grime off his body. They were in the attached washroom, and Sarah had already provided them with some fresh clothes to wear. "Lizzie, I can bath my chielf arg." Leo's voice slurred as he struggled to push her hand away, but he couldn't muster enough strength to resist her grip. "You? What's your problem with me helping you bathe?" she pouted, though her hands continued rubbing gently over across his body. she couldn't help but notice the changes in his body. His previous lean frame was now well-toned. His muscles were defined and rippled with strength. Her hands traced along his abs, following the contours with her fingers absent-mindedly. He looked so strong now, she muttered as she completed cleaning of his upper body. The wounds that had marred his body just a few hours ago were completely healed, leaving only faint whitish patches that appeared when the scabs fell off. But then her gaze dropped. Now only one part was left to be cleaned. She looked down and hesitated only for a moment before steeling her resolve. It's just cleaning. It's just cleaning. She repeated it in her mind, though her rapidly reddening face suggested something else. But just as she was about to move her hand to the desired location, Leo suddenly caught her wrist when it was mere inches away. "Kaya!" she yelped in surprise, breaking free from the intense focus she had been in. Somehow, Leo regained a sliver of consciousness, and in a low voice he told her to turn around. Without questioning anything, Lily quickly spun to face the wall, her face burning bright red. Moments later, he somehow managed to clean himself completely and even changed his clothes on his own. But just as quickly, he slipped back into his dreamy, half-conscious state. Lily puffed her cheeks in frustration, not entirely sure why she felt annoyed. "Just you wait. I will see how long you keep on resisting, stupid Leo." "Stupid, stupid, stupid." Lily guided him to the bed, touched him under the blanket, and made sure he had fallen asleep comfortably. Seeing his relaxed expression, a soft smile spread across her face. She quickly cleaned herself and changed into the new set of clothes Sarah had provided. Once she had made sure everything was in order, she slipped under the blanket beside Leo, carefully positioning herself on the opposite side of the big cut along his ribs. Even if it hadn't healed completely, which it had, she didn't want to risk making him experience more pain. "Good night, my dear Leo," She let out a soft, playful giggle, already imagining how he would react when he would wake up to find her next to him. Leo woke up before sunrise, but instead of feeling refreshed, he felt heavy, as if something warm and heavy were draped over him. His eyes snapped open, and he found Lily wrapped around him snugly. Her one arm was looped around his neck as if clinging to something precious, and her lips were resting gently against the crown of his head. Her legs were the most interesting part, sprawled over his waist and thighs, completely entangled with him. She feels half like a caring motherly figure and half like a child. But somehow, it feels nice. He could smell the faint fragrance of the soap lingering in her hair, brushing over his face like a soft veil. His thoughts drifted back to the moment she had looked so dejected, when she realized Leo would be handling her problems from now on. She feels powerless. And maybe it's the fact that she's afraid that even if she gains power, she still won't be able to fight alongside me, or more appropriately, be with me. She has some talent. He murmured quietly. "I am pretty sure I didn't mistake it when I saw her eyes glow that time, but how do I figure it out?" As if responding to him, a system panel appeared. Host can see the status interface of individuals connected through soul. Connected through soul? How am I supposed to do that with Lily? Individual identified as a capable female. Suggested bond. Soulmate. So, wait. Are you telling me to form a romantic bond with her? Affirmative. Damn. I mean, is there any harm in doing that? He glanced down at Lily, still clinging to him with that soft, loving expression. His heart skipped a beat. Do it, yeah, let's just do it. I mean, I always wanted a smoking hot girlfriend, and I am sure she won't be mad, right? He then took a bria. So system, how do I do it? Kiss her. What? Thump, thump, thump. His heart started racing uncontrollably. He had never kissed a girl before. It's for her sake. I am not doing anything wrong. Yeah, it's exactly that. He shifted a bit, bringing her face closer to his. Their warm breath mingled together, making the moment charged for Leo. His gaze lingered on her soft, slightly parted pinkish lips. He gulped audibly. Shit, I can't do this. She's even asleep. Wait, didn't it just say kiss? There are various types of kisses. Leaning in, He gently pressed his lips on her forehead. Lily's eyes fluttered open for a brief moment only to see Leo kissing her. She relaxed instantly and pulled him closer, quietly enjoying the moment of warmth. He finally did it. Yeah. While Lily was feeling giddy at the moment, Leo was busy checking the system message that had appeared before his eyes. Soul bond established with individual Lily. Category soul mate. Name Lily. Race human. 24. Soul rank rare. Talent Spirit Caller. Effect 1. Allows the user to awaken the lingering souls within beast cores. Summon their spirit beasts to fight temporarily under their command. These ethereal beasts retain the instincts and abilities of their living forms, though in a weakened state, and disappear once the core's essence fades. However, the user can also form spirit contracts, permanently binding a beast's soul to their own, allowing them to summon it at will and even share its 50% strength through the soul link, including stats and skills. The number of spirits a summoner can call and control at once depends on their mental resilience and mana capacity, while the number of contracted spirits depends on their soul strength, same as the soul rank value. Effect 2. Dormant. Rare, 0/3 contracted spirits. Warning: summoning spirits from high-level cores may cause severe backlash. Status interface. Vitality, 3.4. Strength, 3.3. Agility, 2.9. Stamina, 3.9. Intelligence, 1.8. Mana, 54. It's the same as beast taming, and it even has shared strength just like mine. The only limitation is the low number of contracted beasts, but honestly, the plus side overshadows it. He thought to himself, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Beast masters of this world cannot directly share stats with their beasts. Instead, their beasts only granted them skills and helped them gain strength through training. This is possible because their souls are connected, allowing the beasts to help their masters utilize their soul's potential. The higher a beast master's soul rank and the greater the number of beasts they possess, the easier it becomes for them to grow stronger. However, this also means that some beast masters may own high-ranked beasts yet remain weak themselves, simply because they never trained properly enough to utilize the full strength available to their rank. In such cases, the beasts may even disobey their masters, especially if those beasts were only tamed while weakened or injured. A beast master star rank is determined by their highest-ranked tamed beast, with its power measured using special devices. For instance, a 1-star beast allows a maximum of 10 attribute points per stat, based on Leo's system. 0 to 2.5 equals low 1-star, 2.5 to 5 equals mid 1-star, 5 to 7.5 equals high 1-star, 7.5 to 10 equals peak 1-star. Leo's talent, and his system, allowed him to share stats with his beasts and even break past the usual limit of strength potential of his star rank. Now, the same applied to Lily's talent too, the only difference being that her ability functioned differently. She was a summoner type. While she could control fewer beasts, her stat-sharing ability helped bridge the power dynamics between beast masters and summoners. Since this world is still in its early stages, people remain unaware of summoners and other such talents, as Awakenings produces no visible phenomenon, unlike beast taming. But seeing her stats so high, she must have been secretly training to become a hunter. Leo's eyes softened. Now it makes sense why she could exert so much strength before. The realization filled him with warmth. She was willing to risk her life for me. What happened, Leo? You seem distracted, Lily asked, noticing him lost in thought. Without warning, Leo suddenly pulled her into a tight hug and sat upright, guiding her to sit in front of him. Now you can grow strong too, he said, locking his eyes with hers. Lily blinked, caught off guard by his sudden excitement. What happened to you all of a sudden? You have a talent, Lily, and a very powerful one. His voice brimmed with barely contained enthusiasm. Talent? I don't understand. Leo quickly explained how she could summon spirits from beast cores and form contracts with them if she wished. These contracted spirits would share their strength with her, allowing her to grow stronger and also letting her summon them any time to fight by her side. There was even another effect he couldn't quite figure out yet. Ba-dump, ba-dump. Lily's heart pounded wildly in her chest. Can I really come stronger? Will I be able to fight beside him? He's not just saying this to make me feel better, right? Meanwhile, Leo took out the Windbreath Hound's core and placed it before her. It's a peak 1-star beast core and she's mid 1-star. It should work. The spirit will be a weaker version anyway, and if something goes wrong, I'll handle it myself. He quickly allocated his remaining points. Strength, 5.1 12.1. Intelligence, 5.0 8.0. Mana, 400 640. Unallocated stats, 10-0. This much should be enough. Then he handed the core to Lily. Try concentrating on this core and channel your mana into it, he instructed. Even he wasn't entirely certain how it would work, but his gut told him he was right. You seem so confident. All right, I trust you, Lily said softly. The moment her mana flowed into the core, Leo sensed the change. The core began absorbing her energy rapidly, and a thin bluish stream flowed from her body into the glowing veined sphere. He quickly pulled up her interface. Mana, 45 54ths, 32 54ths, 20 54ths. Shit, will her mana even be enough? Then, it stopped. Mana, 4/54. The core pulsed and slowly hovered upward, glowing faintly. It drifted downward, near the floor, leaving faint blue wisps trailing behind. Then, it began to dissolve into shimmering motes that scattered, only to condense again and take a shape of a wolf. Its abdomen formed first, followed by its legs, sharp claws that struck the ground. Then came its tail, swaying gently from side to side. Finally, its head took shape. Its fierce eyes opened and locked onto Lily. She stared at the wolf in awe, instinctively certain that it would obey her every command. Leo quickly scanned it. Windbreath Hound Spirit, mid 1-star, mortal bloodline. It worked, Lily whispered, barely able to believe it. She spun rapidly toward Leo, her eyes sparkling. Leo, it worked, she squealed, throwing herself into his arms and knocking him flat onto the bed as she buried her face against his neck. He chuckled, gently patting her head. Yes, it worked. And now you'll grow stronger too. Yes, I'll become powerful, and then I can protect you, she declared proudly. Ooey, ooey. Isn't that supposed to be my job? He said with a grin. Shut up and let this big sister handle everything, she shot back, too caught up in her excitement to realize what she just said. Ho? Sister, you say? Leo's grin turned mischievous. In one swift motion, he caught her waist, flipped her back onto the bed and pinned her onto the bed, holding her wrists down with the other hand. He leaned in close, his breath brushing against her face. Say that again, he murmured softly. What were you to me? Lily's eyes widened in shock at the sudden development. The way Leo had pinned her with her current strength, there was no way she could move. He is so close. Her face flushed bright red as she quickly turned her face to the side, avoiding his gaze. But his breath tickled her neck, making her squirm. What are you talking about? Of course I am your SI sis, she faltered, unable to finish the sentence. There was no way in hell a brother and sister would find themselves in a situation like this. Come on, finish what you were saying, he said with a grin, leaning closer to her ears before gently blowing against it. She shivered at the sudden cold wind. Don't tease me, stupid, she stammered, desperately looking for a way to distract him. The wolf, let us check that first. I don't know why, but it feels like it will disappear soon. TSK. Guess I will get her next time. Leo turned his attention to the ethereal beast, which stood patiently, waiting for a command like a well-trained German shepherd in the attention position. But the beast's already ethereal body seemed to be fading with each passing second. He also noticed something else. Mana, 4/54ths, 3/54ths. Looks like there's a time frame in which such summoned spirits can retain themselves, he muttered, rubbing his chin. And it even drains the user's mana, about 1 unit per minute. By the time he finished, Lily had already slipped out of his grasp and was listening closely to what he was saying. Retain? Unit? What are you even saying? She asked curiously, tilting her head in confusion. He explained that the spirit she had summoned was temporary and would disappear forever after some time, and that if she wanted to keep it permanent, she had to form a contract. A bond that would permanently tie the beast's soul to her own. How do I do it? I want to keep my first summoned spirit with me, she said quickly, almost pleading. Are you sure, though? Because it will be irreversible, Leo warned, narrowing his eyes. Lily thought for a while, her gaze flickering between the fading beast and Leo. I know that beasts have something called bloodline rank, which determines their maximum growth potential. But how do I know this wolf's bloodline? Leo's eyes gleamed faintly. System, is it possible for me to increase the bloodline rank of spirits that Lily has through my talent? Host soul is strongly connected to the individual Lily, making it possible to increase the bloodline rank of her spirits. That's good, he thought with a smirk. Now it won't matter what she contracts. If you're worried about bloodline rank, Leo said aloud, his tone reassuring, I'll make sure it improves with time. You can go ahead with the contract. Thank you, Leo. I really want this beast. As a memory, she said softly. She headed toward the beast, then suddenly paused. Slowly, stiffly, almost akin to a robot, she turned her head back toward Leo and gave a smile, like a child asking for sweets. He couldn't help but chuckle. Let me guess. You jumped in without knowing how to jump, didn't you? He teased. He. Just raise your hand forward and focus on your talent. He repeated the same instructions the guard had once given him at the Beast Hall. Lily nodded, determination filling her eyes, and did exactly as he said. Fortunately, forming the contract required only a negligible amount of mana for the imprint and signatures, allowing Lily to completely form the contract even with her mana reserves nearly drained. A soft, radiant glow gathered over her hand and flowed toward the spirit beast. The beast accepted it without any resistance, and the bond was sealed. Once all was done, Leo quickly checked her interface. Name Lily. Race human, 24. Soul rank rare. Talent spirit caller. Know of contracted beasts 1. Status interface. Vitality 3.45.8. Strength 3.35.9. Agility 2.95.5. Stamina 3.96.2. Intelligence 1.89.3. Mana 2/54/227/279. Intelligence *3. Rare *10. Holy! What kind of stat boost is that? Leo exclaimed inwardly. It's like 50% of the beast's stats got added to her, and 150% of intelligence? Fuck! Why am I feeling jealous? A faint, self-mocking smile crept on the corner of his face, though it softened as he reminded himself that as his bond ranks increased, he too would share more of his strength with his beasts. Just you wait, girl. You won't be able to pin me down, he thought smugly. Lily slowly opened her eyes. The world around her felt sharper, clearer. Her body felt lighter yet seemed to be coursing with newfound strength, as if energy flowed freely within her veins. More than that, she could feel it, a connection to the wolf standing before her. With the small thought, she tried to dismiss the beast. In the next instant, it dissolved into a streak of blue light, vanishing as if it had never been there, ready to be summoned again anytime, anywhere. Just like that, she had stepped into a higher tier of society, one where she would no longer be treated badly. All because of one person, her beloved Leo. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Not when he was looking at her with that gentle warmth, the kind that just melted her heart. Yes, he is the one. Leo, I love you. I love you so much. Please be mine. Please love me more. Her steps grew slower, heavier with emotion, as she walked toward him. Leo, who had been giving her space to relish in the feeling of her newfound strength, noticed her gaze. It was filled with warmth and filled with a genuine feeling of unspoken love. But then he saw it. That faint pink glow in her eyes. That same unmistakable glow he had seen before when she killed Arnold. The same unsettling, possessive light that didn't want Leo to be with anyone else but her. Only her. Shit! He whispered under his breath. Her Yandere persona. What do I do to calm her down? At this rate, she might actually eat me. Literally. His eyes flickered to her lips, soft, pink, and dangerously inviting. He gulped down hard. I think this might be the only way, or else she'll keep showering me with God knows what until she's satisfied. He braced himself. This was going to be his first kiss. And ironically, it was because a Yandere was madly in love with him. As Lily approached, her face flushed deeply, the pink glow only deepening. Her eyes locked onto his lips as her hands slowly rose, wrapping around his neck. Damn, I'm done, Leo thought. Just how much does she love me to have a whole other personality built in her brain? Well, on the bright side, at least someone loves me for real. Back of Earth, that would have been nearly impossible. He opened his arms, welcoming her in his embrace. But before Lily could lead the situation, he took control. His one hand slipped around her waist, pulling her closer, while the other rested gently at the nape of her neck. Then, without hesitation, he gently pressed his lips against hers, soft and carefully. This was it, his first kiss gone. And somehow, it felt perfect. He pulled back slightly, breaking the kiss for a moment, just enough to check for any negative reaction from her. Only to see her eyes glowing even more intensely, her lips parting slightly as if inviting him back. He didn't get a chance to think more. Lily closed the distance again, pulling him into a deeper kiss. In the blur of the moment, they somehow ended up lying on the bed, Leo on his back and Lily on top, both completely lost in each other. Right now, Lily was all over him, furiously licking his lips and sometimes even kissing other parts of his face. She seemed to have completely lost herself as she mumbled between her kisses, breaths, and soft murmurs. Leo, I love you very much. This is dangerous. I cannot let her lead this. If this happens, she will be in control of the relationship. I shouldn't let it happen, not when she is a Yandere. It isn't an entirely bad thing in my book, but I don't want to be locked up in a basement for the rest of my life. With a quick motion, he shifted their positions, turning her beneath him. Now he was on top of her, meeting her gaze directly. Lily's chest rose and fell, her breath uneven after all the intense kisses she had just given him. Leo, more? She said with a rebellious, almost pouty expression, akin to a child who had been snatched of their treat. So cute, Leo thought, his resolve wavering for a second as he looked at her face. I want to do her right now, but we need to take it slow. This is going to be the first time for both of us. Lily, he said softly, his voice steady, I love you very much. Please, be mine. There was no hesitation in his confession, no room for any vague boundary or misunderstanding. She blinked, as if the words had pulled her back to herself. Her hand tightened around the back of his tunic. Then she lightly punched Leo on the chest. Idiot, she muttered, her cheeks flushed red. You should have said that earlier. He chuckled. I was waiting for the right moment. She turned her face away but didn't try to pull back. After a moment, their eyes found each other again. This time, without saying anything, Leo leaned in, and she rose midway to meet him. Their lips collided in a kiss that burned hotter than before and with sudden intensity. This kiss was fiercer, more urgent than before. Leo's tongue grazed her lips and parted them open. MFMM. Lily was entirely unaware that even this was a thing, but Leo continued guiding her. He didn't stop and continued his movement. Their tongues met, warm and slick, moving together in a way that sent a rush through them both. At first, Lily responded slowly, but soon she got used to it and matched his rhythm with the same intensity. Is she inherently adapting to it? It's very quick. I can't help but wonder if it's related to her talent. He tasted her. A faint sweetness mixed with the heat of the moment. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer. Their bodies pressed together, her large curves smashing against his frame, and he could feel her pulse quickening and heat building between them. Raising her shirt, he slipped his hand under to touch her skin directly. She flinched at the sudden touch for a moment, then relaxed, wrapping herself tighter around him. Her hips shifted slightly, brushing against him, which sent a sharp jolt of desire through him. They finally broke apart, both breathing heavily. Their foreheads rested together. A thin strand of saliva stretched between their lips as they separated. Lily spoke again, her voice breathless but tinged with need. "Don't stop more. James, come out. We have a legal notice for you." A sharp, authoritative voice rang from outside of the restaurant, shattering their moment. Lily's words were cut off when the metallic clinks of boots echoed below as people were being hurried out of the restaurant. Lily's expression darkened instantly, and she clenched her teeth, her eyes glowing with murderous intent. Leo sighed inwardly. He could tell that she was very unhappy that their moment was ruined, and she was furious enough to kill. "Hey, calm down, Lily," he said gently, pressing a light kiss over her forehead and giving her a playful wink. "Let's see what this is about. We will continue this later." That small gesture dissipated her anger almost immediately. If they had been paying closer attention, they would have recognized the voice. It belonged to Zoltan. But his voice had changed drastically after he awakened. With his father's backup and his own newfound confidence growing due to his awakening, he had grown more arrogant almost overnight. The day before had been nothing but filled with frustration. He didn't get what he wanted from the restaurant. The goons he sent never returned, and when he ordered Arnold to bring Lily, he too had disappeared somewhere. Everything had slipped through his fingers. Fueled by his bruised ego, he went to the Baron to get an excuse to get rid of James, who, according to him, was the main culprit behind all of this. The Baron, who had his own reasons for wanting to get rid of James, saw this as the perfect opportunity. And so, with a legal notice and far more confidence than he probably deserved, Zoltan was sent here. Now that all the customers had been sent away, the only ones that remained were James, Sarah, a few waiters and Zoltan with his men. Zoltan's fox-like face tightened, his slitted eyes narrowing until they were almost shut. He slowly scanned the surroundings before his gaze settled on Sarah, and his tongue ran across his lips. James caught the look. His eyes darkened, and he was about to step forward when Sarah grabbed his arm, stopping him. Zoltan let out a soft huff and began. "Listen carefully. A notice has been issued stating that this place is to be demolished in 2 weeks to make way for a new trade route. So vacate this place by then." A vein throbbed on James' forehead as he snapped, his voice rising. "There's already a trade route just 3 blocks away." Zoltan ignored his words completely and continued. "The town will provide the owner with a compensation of 10 silver coins. Additionally, it has been observed that Beast Master James has not been providing services befitting his title, despite receiving a monthly stipend that he gets from Beast Hall. Therefore, it's decided that his stipend will be reduced to 50 bronze coins from the previous 15 silver coins." James was practically seething with rage as his forehead turned red. His fists clenched, trembling, but he only held back because Sarah was holding his arms tightly. Even through her grip, he could feel the anger she was suppressing within herself. Zoltan just sneered at their reaction and continued further. "Furthermore, if James fails to complete a quest assigned by the Beast Hall within a week, he will be demoted from a Grand Knight to a mere knight." Sarah froze. Her anger turned into dread, and her hands began to tremble, her gaze unsteady. She could, without a doubt, tell that this was another scheme by Baron to get her husband killed. James, on the other hand, couldn't hold back anymore and smashed a table beside him with his fist, shattering it. "This is bullshit," he roared, his voice rattling the walls. "The Beast Hall had already granted me 2 years of non-service privilege to recuperate from my injuries. And what's with this nonsense about a trade route? What is 10 silver going to do? This is just an excuse to get rid of me. I won't accept it." Zoltan didn't even flinch. The man's ever-present consoling smile remained plastered across his fox-like face, as though he genuinely understood James's pain. "Well," he said calmly, "first, the Beast Hall has deemed you unworthy and useless." Then his tone turned fierce. "And second, Are you trying to frame the Baron for a murder? Implying that this is all Baron Zirek Milty's excuse? Do you know what you are trying to do here? He deliberately used the name to make it more severe. At his words, the 4 armored men beside him shifted a little and gripped their swords with one hand, ready to attack at Zoltan's order. Sarah panicked. No, he didn't mean it like that, she cried out, stepping forward. Her voice trembled, but she forced herself into a deep bow. He just can't think straight because of the overwhelming news. I'll make sure he doesn't overstep the line again. Right now, Zoltan carried orders from Baron, the head of the city. So, if he wished, he had the authority to execute people on the spot if the orders weren't followed. And from the looks of it, the men behind Zoltan were as strong, if not stronger, than James in his current weakened state. So if a fight broke out, James would surely die. Zoltan's cold gaze lingered on Sarah for a moment, then curved into a slow, cruel smile. James saw it. The sight made his blood boil, but he swallowed his rage, knowing that one wrong word could get her killed. Zoltan was relishing the feeling of finally getting revenge on James, and then proceeded to hand him a parchment containing the details of the quest. This! James' expression hardened the moment he read the quest details. Before Sarah could even ask what it was, Zoltan jumped in with a jovial voice. Ah, don't worry. We know you cannot do it alone. So we have assigned some people to assist you. His smile widened unnaturally. Of course, you are allowed to hire more people. At your own expense, he chuckled softly. Though I think you will have a hard time getting them, given your reputation. Am I right? Zoltan grinned, his smile now stretching almost to his ear, making his already ugly fox-like face look even more disgusting. He was practically bubbly with satisfaction, but his smile cracked the next instant, the moment he spotted a figure descending from the stairs. Pink hair, pink eyes, a striking, captivating body. Lily, why is she here? What happened to Arnold? Zoltan wondered. Then he noticed another figure just behind her. How is he alive? Did those bastards cheat me again? Or, his gaze shifted. James stood there, holding the parchment in his hand, reading. An assumption quickly formed in his mind. The man must have protected them. This bastard. I need to instruct those people to kill him as ruthlessly as possible. And when he is nothing but a mutilated corpse, I will fuck his wife in front of it. But just as quickly, Zoltan adjusted himself, forcing his smile back into place, and started moving out of the restaurant, not before giving a dramatic sweep of his cloak. But as he left, he caught Leo's gaze, cold and unyielding. Zoltan let out a quiet scoff. Ha! Common rank trash. I will deal with you myself. But first, once he reached a secluded spot, he summoned his hyena. The creature emerged, its dark gray fur streaked in red and orange, making it look unique. Its jaws remained hanging open, thick saliva dripping from its mouth and onto the ground, its breath hot and feral. He pulled out a core from his pocket and tossed it towards it. Go on, eat nicely. Soon you will be reaching 2-star, and then I can finally get more money. Ha! Ha ha ha! James, what is the quest about? Sarah asked, her hands trembling as she clutched his arms. James' eyes narrowed. It's a nest cleanup mission, he said slowly, his jaw tightening. The nest belongs to Cedar Treyance. Sarah clenched his shirt tightly. No, you will not go. Her voice shook, panic clear in her eyes. Let them reduce your rank if they want. They are just telling you to die. And even those people assigned to you, they are definitely sent to kill you. Cedar Treyance were monsters infamous for their immense defense and rapid regeneration. Unless a lethal blow was delivered, they simply couldn't be killed. And James, with his current weakened state, wasn't in any condition to face them. After the ambush, only one of his beasts remained. While thankfully, his uncommon soul wasn't damaged, he had lost most of his skills. He was still recovering from the venom left by a poisonous serpent, which had forced him to take a leave from the Beast Hall. And now, suddenly, that leave had been revoked. It wasn't hard to see why. This was clearly influenced by the Baron. Zirek, The reason Baron was so hellbent on getting rid of James was because they had been rivals, equals who knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. But fortunately or unfortunately, Zirek had risen first, reaching Knight Commander, a high 2-star. And through some connections, he secured the position of Baron, which was only allowed when someone reached peak 2-star. The truth, however, was far less impressive. From what James had guessed, Zirek wasn't able to advance any further and was stuck at that level. If this were to be discovered by the authorities, he would be stripped of power, demoted, and exposed. So to get rid of any loose ends, Zirek decided to choose the simple path. Get rid of the one person who knew. This decision was only reinforced when James was advancing at an explosive speed. He had reached the Knight Commander rank in a short time and was well on his way to becoming a Baron himself. And Zirek couldn't allow that. Now not only did he have dirt on him, but he was even at the risk of losing his position. So he set a trap. Under the guise of goodwill, he gave a mission to James, saying that it would help him advance, and set up an ambush. That day, James lost everything. His strongest beast, the Nether Bull, along with 2 others. He barely escaped with his life, but his rank dropped to intermediate 2-star, and since then, he has been wary of Zirek. But today, Zirek had played his cards. James clenched the parchment in his hand, the paper crumpling as veins bulged along his arms. Damn it! He muttered through his gritted teeth. If I don't do this mission, they will demote me to knight, and then he can kill me without consequences. Sarah just lowered her head, her thoughts in turmoil. She knew that if James became a knight, Zirek wouldn't waste a single moment to get rid of him, but she couldn't allow him to walk straight into what felt like a certain death trap. Dread filled her eyes. She wanted to beg him not to go, to stop him somehow, but the words caught in her throat and refused to come out. And before she could say anything, "May I say something?" Leo's calm voice cut through the tension like a knife. Both James and Sarah turned as Leo approached them. "If you will allow it, I want to come with you on the hunt," Leo said, meeting James's gaze directly. "No," James replied flatly. "You have just awakened, and Trey ants aren't something you can handle yet. I will deal with it myself." Leo didn't back down. Instead, he responded with a reason. "Trust me. If you give me some time, I will grow strong enough to fight alongside you. And I owe you for everything you have done to protect Lily." James studied him for a moment. "And what if you don't reach the desired level of strength? Then I will follow you anyway," Leo said as a matter of fact. "Whether you know it or not." A chuckle escaped James. After a brief pause, he nodded. "Fine, but do your best to grow strong in this short time. I will have to leave on the 13th day." He let out a soft snort. Sarah watched the exchange with a complicated expression on her face. To be honest, she felt relieved that at least a trustworthy person was going to be with James in the quest. But the dangers ahead were more severe. In the end, all she could do was silently pray for their success. Soon after, James and Sarah decided to close the restaurant for the time being. Later, Leo and Lily finished breakfast and walked through the marketplace together. "So, what should we do now?" Lily asked. Leo thought for a moment. "You should probably get registered at the Beast Hall." Though it was rare, some people had managed to awaken their talents in the wild due to natural causes, so there was a provision in Beast Hall for them to get registered. But to filter out the disillusion claims from people who think they have awakened, the fee was high, 1 silver coin. Since there was no direct way to determine the type of talent an individual possessed, the applicants had to either tame a beast under the hall's supervision or present one they had already tamed. After that, the hall would proceed to examine the individual's mana signature, checking for any criminal records or any new false identities, before assessing their soul rank and the strength of their beast. Only then were their titles assigned. This was exactly what happened with Lily. "Oh, you managed to tame a spirit-type beast, and to top it off, you also have a rare-ranked soul. You're quite lucky," the examiner remarked as he conducted the tests. The reason he said she was lucky was because spirit-type beasts allowed their masters to gather more mana in their bodies, and having more mana meant unrestrained freedom of using skills, which gave an undeniable advantage in a battle. Once everything was done, Lily received a copper badge that marked her being a knight, along with a monthly stipend of 5 silver coins. So what will you do now? She asked. Me? Leo shrugged lightly. I will go on a hunt for wild beasts. I need to get strong enough before James calls me for his quest. Lily nodded. Then I will also start to train. I need to get used to this new strength, she said and drew Arnold's sword. Unlike Leo, whose system allowed him to use all the strength points he had without a need for training, others needed to train so that they could properly control and use their newfound power. But I will do everything I can to grow stronger before we leave with Master James, she added firmly. I don't want you to face that danger alone, not when there's a possibility of ambush. Lily made her statement, her tone leaving no room for argument. Fine, but I will personally make sure you're strong enough, Leo said, flicking her forehead. Lily gave a cute pout, then muttered, I won't be able to be with you for a while, right? Leo turned to face her. I mean, we will have plenty of time later. I wanted to continue where we left off earlier, she said softly, her cheeks turning red. Suddenly, Leo's expression turned serious. Then in a deep voice he said, I can hear them. Hear what? Lily asked, confused. I can hear the wild beasts. They are calling me. Bye. I will see you later. Before she could respond, Leo darted straight towards the city gates. Leo! Humph! Bastard! Despite her words, her lips curled into a faint smile as she turned and began walking toward the restaurant. I will see where you run tonight. Rustle, rustle. A gray wolf burst into view, panic written all over its face as it ran frantically, whimpering. In the next instant, a shadow shot out from the bushes and clamped down its jaws over the wolf's neck, ripping its throat apart. The beast convulsed on the ground for a moment, gurgling, before going completely still. Direwolf mid 1 star killed, 4 XP. Level 9, 796/818. Good job, Shira, a voice called. Leo stepped out from the darkness beside the wolf corpse. He crouched down and quickly extracted the mana crystal, slipping it into a pouch that was already stuffed full with many more. He glanced down. 2 more such pouches hung from his belt, equally packed. Looks like this is it, huh? He muttered. He had been on the hunt since the morning, ever since running away from Lily. Most of the beasts he encountered were low to mid 1 star, with the occasional high 1 star ones. He intentionally collected the core and mana crystal from the beasts, leaving their bodies behind. Ah man, I really need some kind of inventory skill. I am losing my money here. Those corpses could have been sold for a good price, he grumbled with a grimace. Meanwhile, he also discovered that the cores of beasts that were lower or in equal rank to Shira were digested by her immediately. Then, he saw her ripping the core out of the wolf's body and was munching on it. The very next moment, Shira lunged and bit down hard on his arm. Ah! Leo screamed. But then, chain bond 100%, blood bond 1%. Status update.